Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Liberty Den. Hope you're all having a better week than J-Trit is. J-Trit, how you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, man. Hopefully I'm not coughing up a lung during the show. I'll have to be hitting my mute quite a bit, I think, tonight. The air quality here is as you can imagine, pretty damn horrendous. It's like raining ashes everywhere. And one of my friends suggested I wear an N95 mask, and I was like, fuck, man, I'm sorry. I know it's probably the smart thing to do, but the COVIDiots and libtards have ruined masks for me forever. There's no way I'm putting one of those on. I'll just suffer. I'm good.
You're at least
it's been a rough week. What's that?
Your house hasn't burnt down?
Nope. I still have my house. My parents still have their house. I have now 8 friends confirmed that do not. They weren't as fortunate, and it's just been a rough week, man.
That's a bummer. I am surprised you have 8 friends, but I'm
very sorry. It's surprising, and every one of them, all 8 of them, lost.
I mean, they didn't even know they were friends with him.
No, well, no. I mean, these aren't actual friends.
I mean, technically, they're patients. So.
Well, technically, I pay them to come in and let me work on them and consider them friends. But yeah.
So they're clients that you pay. I need to fix my lighting here. I need to figure this out. So you guys keep talking.
So actually, Jay, how close to you did the fires get?
So the fires, I'm about maybe 4 or 5 miles from where they began in Eaton Canyon. That's where I go hiking all the time. And it's, so Pasadena's set up against the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains, and I'm far enough south where normally like fires would not affect me. So I wasn't overly concerned. There's actually the 210 freeway that I'm below the freeway, which is sort of a nice natural buffer.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it'd be really, really rare for fire to get below that freeway. But the winds we were at 100-mile-per-hour gusts. It's crazy. There were just embers blowing everywhere. So, it was blowing really, really hard. So you really couldn't go outside because there were just branches and trees falling everywhere. But by the time things calmed down about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I went outside and the entire side of the mountain was on fire. Mm-hmm. I tried taking pictures, but it's hard because there was so much smoke. Like you couldn't really, it just didn't do it justice to see the fire in the background, that, the wall of flames. But, with that amount of wind, you just never know when those embers blow. They get into somebody's attic, and that's it. Their house goes up. So even though I felt pretty safe, like at some point in your head, you're going, and I'm getting alerts every 15 minutes from the fire department saying, okay, here's the new evacuation zone, and it's creeping further and further towards my house. I mean, it was basically maybe a half mile from where I live that it got down to, and most of those people have gone back to their homes, but I think there's still 100,000 people that are still evacuated. So,
how normal are those winds? Because it was very reminiscent of Lahaina.
Well, here's the thing. So the Santa Ana winds are really normal occurrence. We get them at least once or twice a year. So they're basically winds that blow like to the southwest from the mountains out to the beaches, which is not normal. So when it happens, the air really heats up and the beaches get really warm, unseasonably warm for them. So the Santa Ana winds are pretty common. To have gusts, to 100 miles an hour, that's extremely rare. The last big windstorm we had like that was in 2011. And the wind was probably even worse then. There were more trees down, more debris everywhere than even this year. But we didn't have any fires with it then. So it's really hard to say. One of my friends took a picture of the Eaton Canyon fire the first 5 minutes that it started, and the picture, it's right, I have it. It's right below a power tower on the mountain. So I don't know if it was a case of Southern California Edison not turning the power off. They claim they did, but there's a lot of heat coming towards them, and of course they're going to deny everything. they did their own investigation, and of course they did nothing wrong.
We've totally exonerated ourselves.
Exactly. I wish if I ever got busted for something, I get to investigate myself. It's always convenient, but yeah. So I know there's a lot of theories out there, dues and all kinds of stuff. I have no idea. We've had fires in these mountains probably in my lifetime, maybe 5 times, where it's taken down houses and stuff, but never this many structures. 7,000 plus structures just in Pasadena from this fire are gone. So that's a ton. And it's already, I guess I just read, it's already the worst fire in the history of the country. So in terms of loss and property damage and whatnot. So
wow.
Yeah, the winds are the common part. It's only like maybe 2% of the time you would get a fire like this or something I read, but I don't recall the two together. It's a deadly combination, but we never had it happen like this before. So who knows?
Do you blame climate change?
or do you blame lesbians in charge of fire departments?
Well, there could be that too. Or there's radicals in at mayors that we have here in Los Angeles that
I think you're blaming the lesbians first.
Her.
Well, what's funny is the lesbian fire chief is now totally flaming Karen Bass. Like,
completely. There was a rumor that she.
Wow. That's a pun on like 2 levels too.
It is. I know.
I
know. I'm on fire tonight.
You have like Joe Biden's comedic timing, because I heard his press conference was a doozy.
Fire away, Vice President.
Yes, fire away. Excuse the pun. Yeah, too soon, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah. Is that what he said?
That's what he said. Yes, he said, we're gonna get started. He said, fire away, Madam Vice President, and then he said, no pun intended.
No way.
Yes, it's like the other one when he showed up with Gavin Newsom and he was like, so listen, everybody's learning that their houses are totally burned down. But the good news is I'm a great grandfather.
And Hunter's house is okay too. He reassured us that Hunter's house is fine.
Is it? Because
I was down. I was up all night, like just worrying about Hunter's house. So thankfully Joe set the record straight, and
that's hilarious.
It did not burn, but
so that was misinformation.
It was wishful thinking. It wasn't.
It depends on intent, because disinformation is intent to deceive. It's misinformation with intent to deceive, and then there's malinformation, which is information that's true that they don't.
I think we could categorize any rumors of Hunter Biden's house burning down as just wishful thinking.
Gay information. We'll call it that. We have a couple sponsors I want to get to. Ghost, nice to see you, man.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Gordo. Should have been you, Gordo.
That his house burnt down? What? Rude.
It's a stand by me joke. Man. It's a stand by me joke.
That you tell every time.
I know. It's my thing.
I should watch that movie. All right.
I haven't seen that movie, so I wouldn't know.
What? Oh my god.
What?
You've got Gordon. Listen, we need to do a show where we just watch Stand By Me.
Gordon's a fed, but I haven't seen it either.
After we make Ash sit through Tropic Thunder again.
Real quick, 2 sponsors. Let's start with a little MyPillow.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98. Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
The trajectory he is on with his prices, like he is going to be paying us for the pillows in like a year and a half. That's the trajectory we're on with those prices. But anyway, one more sponsor real quick.
Hang on a second. It's not going to stay that way, because the economy is going to come roaring back, and you're not going to be able to get MyPillow products for these prices for long. So you should buy them now because they're on sale.
Because you're going to get them for negative prices, probably.
We're going to be buying pillows in like a quantum sense.
Hey, instead of the ball pit at Gart, We have a pillow pit. We fill it with my pillows.
Or we could just take my pillows apart and use the patented custom my pillow down filling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's basically like chunks of foam.
But then that voids the warranty on the pillows if you cut them open.
Okay, you're probably right. Yeah.
We can restuff the pillows afterwards.
Okay.
And donate them to the fire victims.
To J-Triot and his 8 friends. That
eight
definitely
friends
exist. Just kidding.
that are
J-Triot. I know
clearly verified. Yes.
What are they going to do? Well, actually, hold on. We'll ask that question once we come back from break.
Okay.
Hey there, Badlanders. Do you love Badlands as much as you hate communism? Do you want patriotic apparel that's not made in China, but also won't make you look like a dork? Well, then we've got just the thing for you. Introducing an entirely new line of official Badlands gear made in partnership with the culture warriors at Rise Attire and Rise INTL. With 4 brand new collections of original artwork across a wide range of products to choose from. Spread the signal with deep-cut symbols from Devolution lore to the ghosts in the machine on the front lines of the Psy War. Wrap yourself in America the Beautiful with the warm tones and textures of Badlands National Park. To the eye of the storm in Mount Rushmore. This is premium quality streetwear, custom made to order from scratch just for you by the Patriots at our East Peoria, Illinois facility. Don't wait. Explore the entire store and order your new gear today at badlandsmedia.tv/rise. Represent Badlands boldly and proudly. This culture war ain't gonna win itself.
I love those shirts.
Great
my sweatshirt like right there. I should go grab it.
Pretty badass. I mean, you should definitely be wearing one if you just have one next to you.
Correct the record. The Stand By Me movie. That's the movie where the 4 kids find the dead body.
That's
Yes,
correct.
yes. And
that movie's the
Gordon's
best.
brother Danny dies. He's the favorite. He's at the funeral with his parents, and his dad and him are standing over Danny's dead body. And his dad pats Gordon on the shoulder, and he looks at him earnestly and says, "It should have been you, Gordo." And Gordon just
That movie
falls
was dark,
apart.
man. That movie was dark.
Yeah.
Dark movie.
Great movie, though. Great movie. It was a favorite of mine in my youth.
Based on a Stephen King short story.
Yes, The Body.
Although he's a douchebag, his writing is pretty damn good.
Some of
Kind
it
of puts Zach's welcome to you each time in a new context, though, doesn't it?
does. I'm pretty dark. I just, I got to do what I can to keep it light.
So, JJ, what are your friends going to do? Did any of them get their insurance policies canceled?
I'm not aware of any of that yet. I haven't actually spoken to any of them personally, just like friends, relatives, and things like that. So I'm not sure, but I have heard rumors that a lot of people got their insurance policies canceled just a few months ago by State Farm, mostly. I heard. Really don't know what's going to happen. I think everybody's just kind of in shock. And like I said, I grew up here. I mean, this is my whole life is here, and some of my friends have driven through neighborhoods and taken video of the destruction, and it's just neighborhoods you grew up in and hung out in all the time are just gone, and it's pretty, I don't know, you just feel numb afterwards. And like I said, I keep getting texts from people saying, "Oh, did you hear so and so's home is gone, and so and so's home?" And my best friend that I told you about, his horrible wife, who's a Native American, they actually moved, and she sold the house from under my friend without even really asking for his permission. And she's probably gloating now because their house is gone. And they sunk a lot of money into that house remodeling. It's really a beautiful house. I spent a ton of time there. Their first baby was born there, and that's gone. I don't know who lives there now, but just seeing that it's even disturbing, because it's like, wow, there's a house I spent like 8 years just hanging out all the time, and it's gone. So I really don't know, to answer your question, John, what people are going to do. I don't know what people do in this situation. I think you rely on friends and family to kind of give you somewhere, a roof over your head. There's these 2 girls that work at my office. My office is inside a day spa, and they work at the front desk. They're sisters, and they're both paying their way through college, and really just a sweet family. Like, her dad's a patient of mine and everything. And I just found out before we went on, they lost their home, and they have nothing. They just don't. They have whatever clothes they were wearing, and so they've got a GoFundMe going for them, and I'm getting together clothes because their dad's about my size, so I'm going to give him a bunch of stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of charitable stuff going on. So there at San Diego Racetrack, right down the street from me here, there's a huge donation center going. Like some guy just started by making hot dogs for people like a couple of days ago, and now everybody's just sort of following his lead. And now there's like the whole parking lot of Santa Anita is full of clothes and food and water and stuff for the firefighters, stuff for anybody who needs it. And that's always heartening to see people coming together like that. But yeah, and there's a lot of anger, a lot of blame going around. Certainly a lot of blame that there are. I mean, fire hydrants that weren't working because there's no water. I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah. Well, there should be anger. I mean, there should be righteous anger. There should be community revulsion. I feel like government officials across the entire country need to be put in cages for the sake of public safety, because when left to their own devices, these people seem to have a sadistic desire to hurt people. I mean, this is apples and oranges. I'm not trying to compare the two, but right now where I live, since Monday, we haven't had drinking water because first it was the city of Richmond did something happened to the water treatment plant there. So they literally just turned the water off. So like you turned your faucet on in the city of Richmond and the water wasn't running. Now out in the counties where I live, completely separate water treatment facility and plants and everything, totally separate system. They're now having issues. And so now they're still keeping the water on, but they just said, don't drink the water. It's not safe to drink it. We're under like a national state of emergency, like a National Guard's been deployed. It just doesn't make any sense. Everyone's like, what the hell? All these businesses.
No pause.
Businesses are all shut down. So businesses can't operate because if you like do food, if you do anything, like you can't use the water. So it's almost kind of like it reminds me kind of like COVID a little bit, because they're like even like offices aren't opening because they don't have water. So
we went into the wrong line of business. Like instead of podcasts, we should have started like water companies.
Oh yeah, utilities are where it's at. I mean, you have guaranteed customers, and they never leave you.
Yeah, that's insane.
So
Ghost, you don't have water. Jay, do you have water?
I do where I live. Anybody in the evacuation zone in Pasadena, they put out a notice that the water is completely bad. You can't even filter it. They said don't touch it. Yeah. So now
that's what they're telling us too. Yeah. They're saying if you're gonna drink the water, boil it first before you drink it. Because
no, they're telling us here, don't even try that. Like that doesn't even help. Yeah, they said no filtration will help it. Just you have to have bottled water is what they said. Of course, there's no bottled water to be had in the stores. So everybody hoarded those immediately. So, so I don't know. I mean, I'm grateful. I'm in Arcadia, which is the next town over from Pasadena. So it's we have a different water system here, but.
So I wonder how much of that is just because they know that they're going to need it potentially for fires. I mean, like, what better way to make sure that people don't use water at all by telling people that it's simply not safe to drink? Because I had heard previously, they were like, just the water's not safe, boil it if you're going to use it, but please try not to use it. So by going that next step up, it seems like a necessary evil sort of white lie that they might need to tell if they don't want to admit that things are that bad. I mean, you can take a look at the reservoir and see that it's completely empty. So, I mean,
well, there was
obvious.
that, with the Palisades fire, they had that reservoir there, that San Ynez reservoir that they drained like a few months ago for maintenance, and it's completely empty, and the fire department wasn't even told about it. So, I mean, there's so many, it's like Lahaina, so many, it's just a comedy of errors if you believe that. If you're not thinking even deeper conspiracy, but it's bad enough. Even if you take it on its face, it's bad enough. And these people, God, what's going to wake people up? I don't know. But that video of Sky News with Karen Bass, where she was at the Mayor Bass was at the airport.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Oh my God. Yeah. Talk about a deer in the headlights. It's like, you're the mayor and you have nothing to say to your constituents at all. You're just going to sit there and say nothing. Amazing.
Well, it's called third-degree murder. If you look up the definition of that, it's murder by gross negligence.
Yeah,
and that is a real crime that they should all be charged with. Even Q said that all the people, Cuomo and them, would be charged. He implied that Cuomo and Stretch and Gretchen and all of them would be tried with or charged with third degree murder. So,
well, they're trying to pin this on somebody else. We can't call it a patsy. We can maybe call it a butch or something. But they have fired the LA fire chief, and
she's been fired.
That's what I'd heard right before we went on. But then the radio here, one of our radio guys, Tim Conway Jr., was saying that that's not true. It's a rumor going around. So, but if Daily News,
isn't true,
the Daily Mail's picking it up. If it happened, it happened within the last hour. They were having a closed door meeting, and supposedly this isn't confirmed yet, but it may be now. This was like an hour ago. I last checked the story.
Does the fire chief have a Twitter account?
I don't know.
I think she calls it a Twatter account.
Oh God! You know what else I keep thinking?
Oh,
I
wonder, she was
like,
called in to be fired, but she says she's still in her job. So
she's clinging onto her job by a thread, sources say, after she hugged staff goodbye and entered a meeting with the mayor. Source initially told DailyMail.com on Friday afternoon that the fire chief was fired, but the mayor's office told ABC7 Crowley still had her job. Can you imagine the pickle they're in right now? Like, you have this lesbian, and you're like the DEI Democrat Party, but you need a patsy, like,
right. And she was also very critical of the mayor, you know, saying like she, you know, because Mayor Bass cut like all the funding for the, you know, like fire department, and of course the reservoir issue. There's so many things that the fire chief was asked about, and she just point blank said, yeah, they failed us.
Yeah.
And
here's what the article said.
Didn't care to be hung out to dry like that.
The Daily Mail allegedly has a source, and the source says she was going into the meeting telling everybody goodbye because she was told the whole purpose of the meeting was to fire her. When she was summoned into the meeting, it was with the direct purpose to fire her. Whatever happened in that meeting, minds got changed.
She probably spelled out the fact that she has a paper trail. I mean, she's the only one I think that you can look at and like remove culpability, because for months she's been trying to raise awareness about the fact that they don't have the funding. They don't have the money that they need to pay for mechanics. I guess they got like 100 fire trucks that just don't work because they don't have anybody to fix them. Obviously, there's no water. If there's anybody that you're going to be able to blame in this situation, it's Karen Bass. And it's that former PG&E executive that was in charge of the water that knew months ago that it was dry, and that if something like this were to happen, then they would be totally screwed. I mean, how ironic that she presided over. She was like vice president of infrastructure or something like that at PG&E when PG&E set off all those fires, and now she's running the water conservation district, or whatever they refer to it as, in LA, getting twice as much money as anybody who came before her. And again, she's presided over a huge fire where there's massive damages.
Isn't that crazy too? It kind of reminds me of that sheriff from Vegas that was at the Vegas shooting that somehow ended up in Lahaina and presided over another tragedy.
Well, so I hope the net effect of all this is that it just unleashes, it turns everybody into a bloodhound, and everyone just starts investigating their local government. Because I think what we're gonna find if we dig in and like follow the money of all of our governments is that every single local government in the country embezzles and steals money. I mean, I can tell you the city of Richmond, I've been dealing with them for the past 15 years in construction, and they are notorious. They're probably pound for pound the most corrupt government in the country, I would think, because it's not, you know, compared to Chicago, New York, they're much bigger. But there's situations where they have a plan reviewer quit and go like in the private sector, and then the money that's allocated from his salary, and I know this because I'm friends with people who work at the city, because you have to become friends with people in order to get stuff done.
You have friends too?
What's that?
You have friends too?
Yeah, just a few. But they've told me that like that money just vanishes. It's like they have like whatever, $80,000 set aside, whatever it is, $70,000 set aside a year in the budget, and that money literally just vanishes. It erases off the books, and nobody knows where it went. And that they say, and people tell me that happens all the time down there in the city of Richmond. And actually, a guy I used to work with, his daughter dated the guy who just finished being mayor. He was like this young black guy. He was like an Obama 2.0. Like everyone thought he was going to be Obama. He was like, I'm going to come in here and fix the city of Richmond. You know, all this swagger. He was like, yeah, I'm going to clean up all the corruption. and he almost got like this major development planned because we're the only capital in the entire country that doesn't have a first tier or top tier, grade A, whatever it's called, entertainment complex. So we don't have like a facility where we could host a GART or host like a Trump rally, basically. Trump has to go. Yeah,
having a hotel.
Yeah, like an arena. So he was going to develop this whole thing, turn this ghetto ass part of the city into this sweet development, and then his own party subverted it and thwarted it. And after that, because he was like teamed up with the Republicans to do it, and after that, apparently, like the guy I work with told me, because he spoke to him, he said the guy just totally blackpilled and was like, "Holy fuck, this is more corrupt than I ever imagined. There's no hope. This city is a burning pile of shit. I'm out of here." And he like basically like blackpilled, and I think he's still in politics. He's probably still going to go be like the bag man for the Clintons or something. But even he was like, this city is beyond saving. It's too corrupt.
So allegedly, in regards to the Palisades fire, they have photographic evidence of two men starting the fire, like lighting a fire in an area right where the entire fire took off, and it's supposedly now being investigated as a crime. It sounds like all of these fires in LA are now being investigated as crimes.
There's some weird shit going on. Like,
yeah, John, I sent you the pictures of the. Oh, did you? I don't know if I can.
Of course, there's the guy with
a friend of mine took this like 5 minutes after the fires in Pasadena started, and we lost Ash right underneath a power line tower. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but you never know. You can't tell if somebody was sitting underneath there lighting a fire. Who knows?
Yeah.
Get these uploaded.
The more that I dig into just news around the world and read about what's happening in other countries, the more I realize that the amount of money that sort of cycles through our society, and then you look around at what our country looks like and just what the infrastructure looks like and how shitty everything is. My wife and I talk about that all the time, how crappy and unreliable everything is. I mean, I think even we are going to be shocked at the amount of money that's being embezzled and like siphoned out of the cycle. Because you look at like third world countries, like places we would consider to be third world countries, and they have high speed rail. They have like nice things that we don't have. Even in the best cities in the United States don't have those things.
But do they have lesbian fire chiefs?
Probably not. I bet you they don't.
I just have to counter that, Gordon, with the fact that the Biden regime spent $85 billion to build 4 electric charging stations. And I think they sunk more than $100 billion into that high-speed rail line in California that has not had a single foot of track laid. So I don't know that anybody's going to be surprised to learn how much money is being embezzled out of California or any of these places.
What about the fiber optics too? Isn't that another one?
Oh God. Yeah. Fiber optics too. I mean, all of the money that's been spent on that has simply been put into defining the hiring process so that they can make sure that they are giving preferred billing to people with DEI targets. And
yeah,
so it's all waste.
Like we are not allowed to have nice things. They were trying to build this pipeline from West Virginia down through Virginia to Virginia Beach that would have like severely reduced the cost of energy, natural gas pipe. And they this company spent $9 billion developing the plans, just doing the pre-construction stuff for it to get it all ready. And Soros deployed all of his goons to the rural counties to file lawsuits, like engage in lawfare to shut it down, like screaming about the environment. And then, of course, they gave up on it after years and years of fighting. And then Warren Buffett came in and Berkshire Hathaway bought up the rights to the pipeline and then just shut it down and said, yeah, y'all aren't going to get this. And then 18 months later, this is in 2022, the left was celebrating. They're like, this is the greatest day ever. Like, fuck y'all, y'all aren't getting this pipeline. And then 18 months later, like front page of the New York Times, Virginia natural gas prices have doubled. What the hell is going on? And it's like, I hate y'all so much. I don't have words for how much I hate you.
Okay, Jay, do you want to explain these pictures here? We got this one.
Okay. So yeah, that's just a zoom. I zoomed in on the other one I sent you, but this was taken by a friend of mine who, saw the fire start, and she took this within 5 minutes of the fire beginning. So this is that, kind of ground zero epicenter.
But this is like allegedly the wind blew an amber to there.
No, we don't know how it started in the hill right there on the hillside. It's an area called Eaton Canyon. And she just looked out her window and saw, oh shit, there's fire in the mountain, and snapped that picture. So it's kind of I haven't seen a picture that predates this one. It's kind of the closest you'll get to the origin of the fire that I've seen. And it came from a friend of mine's own camera. So
I think the allegation is that, like, if Eaton was the first one, then the embers spread out.
Oh no, there's no way Pacific Palisades and Eaton Canyon are even related. They're too far apart.
No. I mean, Palisades definitely. I mean, I think that all of them,
like 30 miles. Yeah,
there's some type of arson.
So I'm only focused on where I'm at, So this, like, everybody I know is here. I know some people in the Palisades, but not as many as Pasadena, obviously. But yeah, so I the interesting thing about that is that the fire appears to be right around a power tower, which would imply, because normally when you have high winds like this, they're supposed to preemptively turn your power off.
Yeah.
But when they do, did you hear what Biden said? When they turn the power off, that affects the water, and that's why they didn't have water in the fire hydrants. Isn't that what Biden said?
Did he say that? I didn't even hear that.
That's garbage.
Yeah,
everybody knows that you have to electrify the water in order for it to run through the pipes, right?
That's true. That's true. Maybe Biden should just soak himself in water and then, like, touch one of those power lines.
Here, listen to it. I'll play it right here. Hold for processing.
Every federal agency, from the Department of Defense on, every federal agency to be part of this. And the other thing is, look, I think you're getting a bad rap. I know you're getting a bad rap about these fire hydrants don't have enough water in them. Give me a break. Give me a break. What this is all about is the utilities, understandably. What they did is they cut off power because they're worried about these high tension lines coming down and causing more fires in the wind, right? When they do that, guess what? They shut off the power that controls the ability to pump the water. And so now you're getting generators. I mean, this is complicated stuff. They're going to have a lot of demagogues out there trying to take advantage of it. But you're doing the right thing. We're going to get it done, God willing. And I say to the people of Southern California, God bless you. Stay strong. Stay strong. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere.
Thank you.
So
thank
really,
God.
Well,
I
you
feel so much
are
better
in 10
now.
days.
you guys can either have the water to put out the fires, or we're just going to get so many more fires started because there's electricity in the power lines.
So here's the thing. I mean, people have said they didn't shut the power off. If they are claiming that these power companies are not savvy enough or have not designed these systems in such a way that they don't have the ability to shut off power only to certain areas of the city,
Right.
like there's only one cutoff switch, I'm sorry, but I'm calling bullshit. I mean, there's a reason that they call something critical infrastructure and they treat it as such. I mean, if they require power running to a substation so that water can be pumped out from a reservoir, it's not just gravity fed, then I do believe that they would have the ability to keep the power on to that specific location and then shut the power off in areas where you have high winds or you're going to be having known fires starting. But I mean, there was tons of videos of people showing their power lines just sparking in the middle of trees. There was a guy in Malibu. He said that while he and his neighbors were fighting their fires all night, every single home had all of the lights on because everybody was doing the exact same thing. So it's obvious that they didn't do what they said they were doing. And I just don't believe that they would have had to they only have one switch. Switch for the entire
the
city.
whole city. Yeah,
no,
no,
it's not how it works. Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. Like my power was out and right across the street, power was on. And I could see the warm glow of television like across the street.
John, there's a link in the chat. I thought it was hilarious looking at Biden's desk. His desk is completely empty except for the phone. And then look at the picture of Trump's desk, and they're making fun of Trump of like how much shit is on his desk. And it's like,
So
it's just nice.
This is Biden.
Yeah, so that's Biden's desk, and that's Trump's desk. And Vogue is like, look how messy Trump's desk is.
Okay, Trump's actually doing shit. My desk is messier than that.
Yeah, me
most
too.
of the time.
Yeah,
Me too.
and you have work to do. There's going to be work on your desk when you have I think Biden, it looked like he had like maybe some coloring books or something there, but
Well, it was a script. It was an entire script on his
yeah.
desk.
I mean, the thing is, he's so old, he had to move out last month so that he would be able to be out on the 20th.
It is interesting they have two phones. Both of them have two phones. I wonder, one's like general public and one's DOD or something.
Yeah, the bat phone.
special.
You would think, yeah.
Because they both. Biden's looks a little different, though. Biden's second phone looks bigger.
Maybe he just rearranged them. Maybe they have a new
No.
model.
No, the one. Okay, so look at the one on. It's our left in this
Mhm.
picture. Okay,
Yep.
that is the same phone as the picture on the right in this picture.
You're
Everybody's
correct.
had that phone if you worked in any office ever.
Mhm.
Like that's the same phone.
Yep.
But the one on Trump's
Cisco.
left there, the high tech one with the
Mhm.
screen, and that is different than the one on the right here. 'Cause It's got
Okay.
like the extra. See how big that is?
Yeah,
So-
that's a big ass
So
phone.
there's something different here.
So this one that Biden has on his right, it's got the extra large senior buttons. Okay, so that they're like
Jitterbug phone.
I
they're
think
like
it says play school on the back, doesn't it?
yeah,
That's
it's
so
got
funny.
it's got 3x3-inch number pad, and then he's also got the Cisco WebEx screen on the far right.
That's so funny. When I was younger, my grandma, like I literally taped construction paper over most of the buttons on the remote, except for like the power button, the volume, and like the channel.
Didn't want
Just
to
so that she
screw it up.
wouldn't like mess with the TV and screw it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's like what they did with Biden. That's so funny.
Do you
That's
guys have people
hilarious.
like that in your life today? Like if there's technology, they're going to mess it up because they just can't help themselves. They have to change things around.
Yeah, my 2-year-old son, I take the battery out of the remote and I give it to him because he wants to play with the remote. So I like you turn the TV on if you're like watching something, you turn the TV on and you give him the remote and he just sits there and he plays with and he just wants to press the buttons. But otherwise he would just be
But see, like when
My,
they get to
my
be
dad is
three,
like that. Yeah.
when they get to be
My-
like 3 or 4 years old, they know everything about the remote. Like my kids can turn on the TV and get to like whatever.
Oh, my
show they wanna
5-year-old,
watch.
yeah. Oh yeah, she knows it inside and out. She knows she can figure out any piece of technology. She'll figure it out in a few minutes for sure.
Setting sleep timers and notifications for when like Rugrats are going to be on and stuff.
Not quite that advanced, but my parents are almost like maybe once every other month I'll get a message like, "Hey, can you come over?" Or next time you're over, I need help with something's going on with the TV. But when I get there,
Yeah.
it's normally fixed. So it's
My-
they're not
My
quite-
dad has absolutely no clue how to use the remote control. My mom has to like set him up in his chair, ask him what he wants to watch, and put it on for him. And I don't know why he can't figure it out. I mean, he's got a little bit of dementia now, so there's that. But like even before that, he just has never ever learned how to use a remote or a telephone for that matter. I don't even know if he knows how to use a phone. I mean, he's got a cell phone. I don't know if he's ever made a call from it.
What
but,
kind of
you know,
cell phone?
Like,
Jitterbug?
My dad had a flip phone until a few years ago. I had to
no,
force
I got
force
my
him to get an
parents'
iPhone.
iPhones. I got them
Yeah.
iPhones, and I've shown him how to use them. My mom's really good with this stuff, but and she's like not a techie person at all. But compared to my dad, she's like a genius. But even before, I'm old enough to remember before we had remotes for the TV, and you just had to go on the TV and like turn the dial, so to
Oh my
speak.
gosh. The
And he
horror.
didn't even do that. He'd yell for like my mom to come, "Yay, Marge!" And she'd come running in the room. What? He go, "Can you turn it to channel 11?" And
And make me a
he's
sandwich.
swear to God. And I'm like, "But that's you've spoiled him, Mom. You spoiled him his whole life. He's never gonna figure out how to use the remote now. So you're stuck. You're gonna always be turning the TV on for him, setting him up, turning the channel for him. It's just been a lifetime of that. So."
I love
My
it.
dad still explains to me how to get places. Like last week he did.
Oh.
I was like, Dad, it's
Totally.
called a GPS. Like I can figure it out on mine. He's like, no, but you want to go down this road? I'm like, Dad, just stop. You don't need to explain it to me.
Same.
there's
It
a
must be
whole
a
new
dad
cell
thing.
phone.
It's the same thing.
Wait, this is
This
The experience that's simple, helpful, and affordable. It's the Jitterbug.
Bigger buttons, a powerful speaker. The sound is loud and clear.
Man, no one else gives such personal service.
May I add that name to your phone list, Mrs. Davis?
Cell phones frustrated my parents until I gave them the Jitterbug.
It's easy to use, affordable.
And there's reliable service wherever we go.
Verizon 3G network.
That's funny. I got my mom life alert for her birthday. Like she's like 50 something. But every time she, like adult, like adult diapers and life alert.
I can't get up.
Just making fun of how old she is. Yeah, but even though she's nowhere near needing that, but
No, you know, not. What I love is when I see like an older person who has a smartphone, like an iPhone, but they don't know how to use it, so they'll unlock it and they've got two icons, like the phone and then the contacts. That's all that's on the home screen. I used to work at Verizon, so years ago people would come in, and there was Jitterbug available through Verizon at one point.
Oh,
I don't know if it still is, but
did they name it that because it's like a dance from the 30s or something?
I think so. It calls back fond memories of World War II. Yeah.
That commercial was on all the time, and that was we had to watch commercials back then.
I have to say the theme song's pretty snappy. It kind of got my toes tapping. I might have to get one of those. Yeah, no, Gordon, my dad's the same way. I took them to lunch the other day, and on the way home, my dad was telling me where to turn. Like, Dad, I've been to your house before. Oh, wait, I was born there and I lived there my entire freaking life. And I come here about 4 times a week. I think I know how to get there. His backseat driving is like top shelf, man. It is.
Have they purchased actual physical maps to go on vacation? Because my dad has done that like recently.
My dad was that kind of guy too.
Well, when my dad goes
I do
to
keep a map. I do keep an
because
Atlas
they're
book in my
free
car, but
I use AAA.
Yeah,
I will tell you
go
this.
get whatever maps you need. You go into the AAA, you get maps you don't pay for.
And you had the old big thick Thomas guide, which was what you had in your car. And if you were looking for directions to somewhere, you could look in the Thomas guide. It's called the Thomas
super
guide.
Sexist that it's not a female or gender neutral name.
It sounds very, very male dominant, doesn't it? But
it does.
It's the Thomas brothers, I think, is technically what it was. But yeah, then MapQuest came along. Remember that? I taught my dad how to do that.
Print
off your directions. That seemed like could technology possibly advance past that? I couldn't even fathom it until GPS came along. And once GPS came along, and I was trying to show my mom, all I have to do is Google a place and then it'll pop up and it'll say directions. Just hit that and your phone will tell you exactly how to get places. Ever since then, my dad has decided like they're never leaving like a 2 miles, radius of their house. And I think it's because he's just terrified of the technology. It's crazy.
It's gotten even worse than that. So now in my car, like depending on the time of day, it will guess where I'm going on the GPS and it'll suggest it for me. So like, if it's anytime between like 7:30 a.m. What's up, man? I was hoping we'd talk Bitcoin tonight. If it's anytime between like 7:30 and 9 a.m., it'll suggest taking the kids to school. And if it's anytime like after that, it'll go to your parents, go to wherever.
That's messed up, man.
Very pervasive.
If I walk out front to the mailbox, it'll do that. Like if it senses I'm out in the driveway and my phone's in my pocket, it'll like buzz and it'll be like, "Oh, you're leaving your house. You're going to work." It's like you're going to and it's like gives you the suggested route. It's messed up.
How long till mail is obsolete? By the way, that's got to be coming.
Mail.
Well, what gets sent in the mail anymore? I get like shit from my insurance company and like random junk mail and discount codes to Papa John's. Like,
I order lots of stuff in the mail because I don't leave my house all that often unless I'm going to a GART or something like that.
But it's sent via Amazon, I bet.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. No, I mean, I make sure to order from places that aren't Amazon if I can. But if I need something tomorrow and I know there's no way that I'm going to be able to make a half-hour, 45-minute trip into the city and then come back, I'll go ahead and do that. But what I was going to say, I noticed
Ted Kaczynski of you.
It is very Ted Kaczynski. Yeah, I've noticed on my phone, like at certain times of the day, it will also suggest different apps to me that I will often use at that time. Like first thing in the morning, I'm always like looking to see like what's going on X, what's happening in the news, and it'll pop that stuff up, or Telegram because I'll be checking messages and stuff.
What other apps?
Yo, guys, so I just kind of popped in because you guys were talking about remote controls and you guys were kind of boring me. So I'm like, yo, LA's on fucking fire. Hold on a sec. LA's on fucking fire. There's
talked about it.
These LGBTQ fucking captains out there. There's no fucking water. Everything's gone.
We
And
discussed
all
all
you
that.
fuckers are going to pay for it. You guys are
like
all on the
40
hook,
minutes
and
on
nobody's
that.
mad
I
about
said
it.
that.
We
I
already
said that.
talked about it, G, for the first
Gee,
part
we're
of the
40
show.
minutes
Talk about
too
how we're
late.
going to put them all in cages, dude. We're going to put all the government officials
Yeah.
in cages. Yeah.
Yeah, believe
We're
me.
sending Karen Bass to your house. She can sleep with you tonight.
What I think is
I mean,
most
it's just out of control. And then Joe
I ain't paying
Biden's
for
going
shit, by the way.
He's going to pay 100% of it, and then what? Right?
I ain't
gonna
paying for shit.
funnel-
We ain't paying for shit.
Yeah. Fuck
You,
that.
you are paying for it. What do you think? Where do you
how?
think money's coming from?
They're
gonna
gonna come
print
from
it.
me.
Money isn't real.
They're going to print it. They're going to print
All
the
my
fucking
money's in
money.
Bitcoin.
Print it. Print it then. Print it. Print it. See if I care. It's like
I can't
print
believe
it.
you said we were boring you.
He actually said that. He said that. How dare he say that?
Oh, freaking
dude.
hilarious. And then they're going to give the money to all the fucking idiots. It's ridiculous.
What's
Yeah.
most
Hey,
disgusting to me about this is that the fires in LA have already gotten more news and coverage than anything that happened in North Carolina or Florida or Georgia or even Tennessee. There were also plenty of people whose houses went straight into the river in Tennessee, and they never even bothered to talk about it.
Well, that was just like a blessing in disguise. I don't think. Well, maybe they controlled the weather. Who knows? Like to them, I'm saying what's happening in California. Like, not just the narrative of that is manufactured, but there's some arson going on. Clearly,
Yeah.
And who knows how much of that is.
Did you guys see the guy they caught today? That was like had a blowtorch. He looked like, I think he was from some like Colombian gang or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and
they've already decided not to charge him with anything.
Right. No evidence. I'm like, well, just watch the video I saw. Like he's clearly about to light some place on fire with a blowtorch.
He
And
also
then his
allegedly had
friends-
five cell phones and a UN debit card.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing to see here. Let's let him go.
Yeah.
They said no evidence is why they didn't charge him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but it's not enough to hold him apparently. So
Just curious, do they have a lesbian in charge of the police department as well down there?
I'm sure they probably do.
I don't know.
Okay.
Gee, I see that your house is not on
Lesbians
fire.
all the way
Are
down.
Are you safe?
Not on fire. No, I'm like an hour and a half south of it, and so there's not a lot of. But like, if you're an asshole and you want to live and next to all these shrubbery and greenery, like, and you're not going to water it, you're not going to clear it out. Like, why are we supposed to pay for it, bro?
We're not.
Like, you want to live in that area, fix your shit, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. But to your point, to G's point, the problem is people are not nearly angry enough, and it's not just
No,
about
they're
this.
not.
Everything in general. It's like,
And here's the thing: I've
Well,
got a lot of
can
LA
we also
friends.
clarify that not all people who live next to shrubbery are assholes? I think we should clarify that. I have some shrubbery in my yard, and I'm not.
I have some shrubbery back here.
I have an unsold lot next to me that I trim and clean out on the regular basis, and it's wet as shit down here in Florida.
No, it's crazy because I have some LA friends, and they're like, "Oh, it's really bad," like, and they're like blaming like Mother Nature or something. They're not literally giving anybody accountability. There's no transparency. It's a complete shit show, and I'm like, these people are literally just gonna like die. They're literally gonna die off. They're not gonna protect themselves, and it's kind of sad. Like, it's so sad how much people are willing to take, how domesticated the freaking American populace is to take it in the asshole over and over and over again before someone's going to do something about this shit.
That's what she said.
I think it's a little early
Preach,
to
bro.
call it
Preach.
like that, G. I mean, it's still going on. It just happened. I mean, I'm not bending over for the man.
Fire.
I'll tell you that much. But here's the thing. To your point, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, we're looking at 50 plus years of mismanagement of that land. Okay. For much of it, I don't even know who owns it. I mean, is it city property? Is it county property? I mean, there should be some sort of program that goes out and clears up all of that dead vegetation. I mean, this is just fire management 101.
Trump's been talking about that.
Yes, Trump has talked about it, but in civilized societies, countries around the world that have had to deal with fires on a regular basis, I mean, this is something that they already know too well. In California, it's not being done because the money that's made available for it is siphoned off. It's put into the pockets of politicians and special interests. They just hand wave over it. They have all of this money that just gets siphoned off into pet projects, which again ends up into different people's accounts. And then when something happens, they say, "Oh my God, climate change, Trump bad," and it's blame the insurance companies.
J-Trade, I have a genuine question.
When I used to vote, there was a water thing we voted for like 10 years ago, and they didn't build any of them. Like, we put all this money aside, and they didn't build shit. Nothing.
Because
Did you hear about the fish?
It went to the resident.
The smellfish, right? The smellfish.
Jason, I have a genuine question for you.
Yeah.
Of the 8 friends that you know of that have been displaced, how many of them, prior to being displaced, do you know for sure were liberals?
I know at least, I would say half of them, maybe more. The other half I don't know. But I do know of two of them are hardcore conservatives. One of them watches Badlands.
Ooh.
And I just
not after tonight.
Her name is Kathy.
Kathy,
really good friend of mine at work. And
Kathy.
I just found out, like, again, about an hour before we went on the air, that she lost her house. And she's originally from Texas, really nice lady. Her and her husband Byron are very dear friends of mine. And I was heartbroken when I heard that. But they're hardcore Trump supporters and Badlands watchers, mainly because of me. But
this is the thing that I'm like noticing, and maybe it's a manufactured noticing because it's what we're being shown on the social medias, which we're going to get to the social medias because I have a few words to say about Fuckerberg. But I feel like this moment in time, what's happening in California, is kind of like pissing some people off to the point where, hey, maybe they're questioning the Democrats in control, and maybe that will lead to finally like them questioning elections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's worth
I would
it,
hope
but,
so. I mean, I put out a tweet and I said I'd love to blame the people of LA for being so insanely stupid as to vote for someone like Karen Bass to be the mayor of their town. But then I'm reminded that elections are completely rigged and fake. So can I really blame them? And I got a lot of response on that. People were like, yeah, that sort of, well, that's what you get, for voting for these people. I'm hoping people start to think about it and go, did we really vote for Karen Bass? Because she ran against this guy, Rick Caruso, who's pretty beloved in LA. And he was a Democrat. He ran as a Democrat. And he's the one that built the Grove and the Americana, which were big, like, condos and restaurants, really, really high end, nice, sort of in these little shopping environments. And he's a big developer in LA. He's developed a ton of stuff around LA. So everybody knows who he is. He's charismatic. He's
doesn't he have to do with like the water board?
No, he was the one who was on the news and saying that basically they had no water and it was a total mismanagement of city resources and these people don't know what they're doing.
So yeah, they were asking him for comment because he somehow lost a fake election to Karen Bass, and
a communist.
Right. She's exactly. I mean, we should really talk about her background. It's crazy that anybody would vote for this person.
Well, two things. We should definitely talk about the Resnicks. We got to talk about them before we move on. But did y'all see Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Like Mel Gibson.
Rogan?
On Rogan?
I haven't watched the interview, but I saw the phone call or whatever. Like they were interviewing him on the news and they were showing his house as they were talking to him. And he was kind of like, yeah, fuck it. He's like, yeah, I mean, whatever, just stuff. He's like, I mean, I loved his attitude, but he was also like, yeah, we got to go get these fuckers, talking about the government people.
I'm fucking pissed at Rogan right now too. This Zuckerberg.
I mean, total fact. That tweet he put out about Zuckerberg was the most cringe tweet in the history of Twitter.
Did you listen to any of that interview?
No, I haven't listened to any.
I listened to 10 minutes, and I was driving on the interstate, and there was like two or three moments within that 10-minute period where I almost literally like, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to drive into the other side of the interstate. It was fucking insane. Like this. Let's finish up with the fire stuff, and then we can bitch about Zuckerberg and this whole op going on. But G, let us have it. You got some strong opinions on this, and I'm willing to hear it.
Tell us about the Resnicks. Tell us about those billionaire fuckers who were hoarding all the water.
They're the ones who got the money that G voted for.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I think in the future, right, it should be all voluntary. It shouldn't be like forced coercion to help other people. So, like, if you want to help people, like, you should be voluntarily willing to help them. Start a GoFundMe. You want to help them, that's great, right? But right now, we live in a system where it's forced coercion of corruption. Joe Biden's going to print the money, which is going to steal money from every one of you, steal your energy, right? Time is money. It's stealing your time. And then that money is going to get funneled to the officials in Los Angeles. And those people are then going to funnel the money to their friends. And so, like, this system is going to keep going on and on and on. It's not going to stop until people realize, hey, we need some accountability. We need some transparency. And so I was kind of like, you know what? Fuck the people of LA. You want to help them? Great. We shouldn't be on the hook for your stupidity and your incompetence. You're putting all of us at risk and you're stealing from us at the same time. And so go fuck yourselves, LA. You guys suck anyway. Sorry.
You know what, Nitnoid? What's funny is I don't have running water, and I'm in Virginia right now, so that was kind of a low blow. Yeah, G, I'm 3,000 miles away, and the water is not safe to drink all week this week for no reason.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
well, they're funneling it into the agricultural land of Northern California.
And so, like, if we just kind of like self-organize, right, voluntarily in like our own little citadels, and if another citadel, if they're chopping their dicks off, if they're not cleaning up their shit and doing with fire stuff, whatever the case is, right? They're hiring lesbians, let them do that. But like, it shouldn't be on us to go like help them. That's not how this is supposed to work in the future.
I've thought about this before. I mean, the insurance thing that's going on with State Farm, that's super stupid. Like that shouldn't, it should be up to your insurance company to pay for it. I believe the same thing with foreign aid though. And I've said this before on air. Like, we shouldn't be sending any money overseas. If people want to support Ukraine and put the Ukraine flag in their bio on Facebook and all these things, then they can donate to some place and do it themselves. Tax dollars should not be sent to that stuff. And maybe we're going to get that there with Trump and stuff. But it's a double-edged sword here, because I do have sympathy for what these people are going through, but I don't want to pay for any of that shit. I really don't.
But it's not even tax dollars. They're just going to print it. So they're not taxing you. They're indirect taxing you, and they're lying about it. And so nobody ever knows, and that's why everybody's emotions come out. Oh, we need to help these people. We need to do this and that. And like, it's just a cycle of over and over. And then it's Ukraine, and then it's Taiwan, and then it's, funding gender studies in Uganda. Like, what are we doing here?
JJ, I'm curious what you think of this, because like, I feel like you're the other side. You're the other side of the California coin.
Well, look, our system is set up for corruption. The money can be siphoned off so easy. They look for, this is why they welcome tragedies like this, because they get their federal funding and then they all skim their money off of it. Hardly any of it gets to the people it's supposed to go to. I mean, I got a text earlier today saying, oh, thank God FEMA is here. Here's what you do to get your money, get your resources, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, oh, yeah, FEMA, great. You better not have a charred Trump sign in your wreckage, or they're not giving you any money. But, so I don't know. I just think that it's the system that is, and G and I are probably aligned with this, is the system is designed for corruption, to be done so easily. I remember, just as an example, this doesn't have anything to do with emergencies, but I had a patient who was an administrator in LA Unified School District, and he had retired, and he was telling me how things work. And he said, yeah, we have these federally funded programs through the Department of Education that we keep getting funding for, even though the program doesn't even exist anymore. He goes, we had like a class for like learning DOS programming, like ancient computer stuff. He says, we still get money for that. And I said, well, where does the money go? He says, well, we sent the secretary to the bank. She cashes the check and brings back a stack of money. And then we all grab a piece of it and stick it in our pockets, and we go home. And I'm like, you're serious? And he goes, dude, I'm telling you, that's how it works. It's that stupid. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, you think that they're like these masterminds, to pull this stuff off, but it's that easy. Like, they literally send the secretary to the bank to cash the federal, the check from the feds. And then they each grab just sort of eyeball it and grab a stack.
They're
like
actual vampires. They're actual vampires.
Yeah, literally. And they keep getting these programs, they keep submitting for funding for these programs that they know don't exist. So and then you wonder why these school systems are ranked so low and whatnot. It's like, because the money never gets to where even if there was good intentions with some of this funding, it never gets to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah. Ash, I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, Ash knows probably a ton about this stuff.
I appreciate and understand the "you aren't angry enough," approach, but I think people are so angry they're exhausted, they're almost overwhelmed by how angry they are. I also think that all of the stimulus right now is trying to make us angry. everything is an op to fucking make you pissed off. The North Carolina versus LA FEMA aid thing. Oh my gosh, it's Iranian terrorism. And but we have to remember that it's 10 days. We have 10 days left of the period where they have any power at all. And the end of that FEMA video that we watched, Joe Biden's like, we aren't going anywhere. Yeah, you are, buddy.
Yeah.
You're leaving in 10 days. And so I'm really cautious of the appeals to emotion right now, including anger. Yeah, I'm pissed at everything, but I'm not going to give them what they want.
But well, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
No, you go, man.
Well, I think that's a really, really good point. Very fair point. And I do expect things to get even crazier over the next 10 days. I think the 2 counterpoints I'd make to that or building on top of it is 1, 10 days is the start, not the finish line. So 10 days that we start the race. And that's when we begin the process of taking back our country with Trump back in. So I think everyone needs to be ready for the push there. I agree with the idea of being exhausted and being in the fatigue of like the emotional trauma. And I mean, we're all being psychologically tortured. That's the whole point of what they're doing. What we have to learn how to do is to focus our anger into something productive. And we have to have a target, and you create targets by having names. And so rather than identifying agencies and organizations that are behind this stuff, we need to identify who the actual criminals are, the specific individuals who are doing these things, so that we can prosecute them and bring them to justice. And sometimes I do worry that we don't have the stomach to do that. I don't know if we have the willpower to actually see this fully through. People want to see Hillary Clinton and Obama and those people go to prison, but those people are television characters for the most part. I mean, a lot of the people who are doing the actual corruption, who are doing this kind of stuff that happened in LA, they are people whose names we don't even know. And they're going to continue to operate, after Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama go to prison for whatever they end up getting charged with. So I think we just have to be aware that the process of going after all these underlings is going to be on all of us. It's not going to be on, the white hats or whatever. Like, they're going to clean up the people at the very top, but we have to come in and clean up our own communities.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned Obama. Don't let me forget to bring up Obama later. The Trump Obama at Carter funeral. I don't want to forget that. I've had a couple of whiskeys,
sure.
so
yeah.
that. But what you said, Ash. God damn it! What did you say, Ash? I had a really good point, and then Ghost rudely interrupted me.
Anger reaction.
Oh,
not
10
give them
days.
what they want.
In 10 days, okay, things are gonna. It's not gonna be the flip of a switch. Like, some things it'll definitely feel different. I think the excitement's going to be palpable. I think we're going to see Trump doing a lot of moves. I think it's going to take a little while for things to actually like take effect. And I don't expect immediate change. The enemy, I mean, even though Trump is taking over, they're going to try to still pull some shit. We don't know how many people got into the country. We don't know if these fires are being started by people who snuck over the border, the open border. Like, have they been deported yet? How long is it going to take for those threats to be deported? How many other things can they do? We don't know if this stuff is going to change overnight. So I'm not really looking for like a flip of a switch when Trump gets in there.
I agree. Hang on just 1 second, G. What I mean by 10
shut up, G.
What I mean by 10 days is their grip on power. In 10 days, we can start fighting back. We will see counter pressure applied to what has been them, just as G said, fucking us over and over and over again in the ass. We'll have some resistance to that. The game changes in 10 days. And I think that it's going to get crazier up until that point and probably after. To your point about terrorist attacks, the fires being set by people that cross the border. They've been moving troops inside our fucking country since late 2020 when they knew Joe Biden won. So
does anyone think there's a potential rug pull? Like, I mean, if patriots are in control and we think Joe Biden is a fake president, like technically, right?
Yeah,
we've been in control.
It's rugs all the way down, brother. It's rugs all the way down.
And so
what do you mean?
The narrative may change, but like the stuff that's happening, it seems like it's kind of like white hat operated. I don't know. I still think there's a chance for a rug pull.
Okay, so perfect example, John. Trump just posted today a video of Jeffrey Sachs excoriating Netanyahu and basically calling him a sack of shit. And now Netanyahu is saying, I'm not coming to the inauguration anymore. So that's a pretty big rug pull, considering that both sides, I mean, I've been talking about this for, I feel like months now.
Did he commit to come?
Oh yeah, Netanyahu like said he was going to come. I think. I mean, he now said that he's.
I don't remember hearing that. Are we
he's
sure about that?
All I've heard is that Netanyahu has confirmed he's not going to be there. Now, maybe he's just saying it preemptively, but either way, he's not going to be there. And I would imagine he's probably making that clear because of that video that President Trump shared. I mean, was it Jeffrey Sachs? He called him a deep, dark son of a bitch.
Dude, Jeffrey Sachs goes on the Judge Napolitano show every week and shits on Netanyahu.
He's great.
And calls him like the biggest sack of shit alive and says that he should be charged with war crimes and thrown in a deep, dark hole. I mean, so
why do we care about Jeffrey Sachs? Who is Jeffrey Sachs again?
He's a deep state. I mean, he's like a former deep state guy. So his background is not great. I mean, I'm pretty sure he probably worked for Soros at some point or something like that.
The Earth Institute. He worked at the Earth Institute. That's the biggest thing ever.
But basically, all the guys who go on Napolitano's show talk about the truth when it comes to.
He's an economist. That's why
Netanyahu and I mean, he is accurate when he talks about the money laundering grift that is Israel and Ukraine. So anyway, but the point is that in the video that Trump shared, he was shitting on Netanyahu.
Did you also see what is it, Ian Carroll?
Yeah, Ian Carroll.
Everybody saw the Ian Carroll dump. Yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty epic though.
Well, walk us through it. Walk us through it, because maybe not everybody in our chat has.
So Elon Musk posted a video where it was basically like a video of him speaking like on stage in various places. And the point of the video was basically like, we need to give Israel all the money that we possibly can muster. And we need to give them everything they could possibly ask for without question. We owe it to them from a moral, virtuous standpoint. You know,
Elon
it's like
Musk?
Elon Musk posted that. Yeah. And then, Ian Carroll responded by saying, for a guy as smart as you are, you sure are dumb on this one issue. And
the Jews.
Yeah. And then Elon Musk replied and said, what am I missing? ... And then, and then Ian Carroll responded with a burning bright Ghost of Base Patrick Henry length style post that was like a wall of text.
I'll put it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
And with plenty of sauce to back it all up.
Yeah, and I think it's now up to 200,000 likes, and Elon Musk has like 8,000 likes, so it's like the biggest ratio in Twitter history.
Has he been censored yet?
It hasn't gotten censored yet. Yeah, so as far as I know, Elon hasn't responded to it, but now all the Con Inc. people have come out, and they're all attacking Ian Carroll, and they're all exposing themselves. Because the whole thing is on AIPAC. The whole thing is about how AIPAC controls Congress and all the people that AIPAC has donated to, and how 90% of Congress, both Democrat and Republican, are totally beholden to AIPAC. And that's why they gave Netanyahu 60 standing ovations during his speech over the summer. And yeah, there you go.
I bet it's all those same people.
Okay, wait, hang on. This is freaking me out. So it says, I asked it, this is ChatGPT, before today, did Netanyahu ever commit to going to the inauguration? This is its answer. As of January 2025, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had not publicly committed to attending the inauguration of Joe Biden's second term as U.S. president, scheduled for January 20th, 2025, while Netanyahu and Biden, blah, blah, blah. So then I said, you mean President Trump's inauguration? Apologies for the confusion. Yes, you're correct. I should have been referring to the inauguration of President Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. Then he goes through the history of Netanyahu attending, and the last line is, if you're referring to the upcoming inauguration of Joe Biden in 2025, as of now, Netanyahu has not made public commitment to attend.
Okay, blow its mind and tell it that Joe Biden did not run for president. Kamala Harris did, and she lost. Donald Trump is scheduled to be inaugurated on January 20th, 2025.
Doesn't Patrick use ChatGPT like all the time?
He does. It's wrong often. It's like not a reliable source.
Ash used ChatGPT to do lawfare, and that guy
trained it on my case.
And that guy used ChatGPT to do terrorism. Remember, so ChatGPT is a pretty versatile tool.
That's right.
And
God!
If you train it, yes.
Well, and what
Joe
Ashton
Biden-
Harris did were like the same thing, pretty much.
Joe Biden didn't run. Kamala Harris did, and she lost. ChatGPT. It seems there may be some confusion. As of January 2025, Joe Biden did indeed run for re-election in the 2024 U.S. presidential election, and he won. Kamala Harris is his vice presidential running mate, and together they have won a second term in office. Biden's inauguration for his second term is set for January 20th, 2025, and as of now, Netanyahu's plans to attend have not been confirmed publicly.
Oh my God.
What is happening?
ChatGPT has serious cognitive dissonance.
Ash, you need to tweet that. You need to tweet that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Ask if it's
screenshot
high.
it. Ask for
Okay,
sources. Ask if it can give you a single source showing that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden won the 2024 election.
That's insane.
Good question, Zach.
See, but it
By
did
the
say
way,
it says that
ChatGPT is
Netanyahu did attend Trump's inauguration in 2017.
But I don't think there's anything. I haven't seen a single thing about really any world leaders attending Trump's second inauguration, and it's probably because he's not even going to have it. He's doing this thing on the 19th. That's weird. That's unprecedented, really. And if I were him, I wouldn't like. Who cares? Why would you go and do the actual inauguration with all this shit going on?
Real quick, that link that I sent, we should look at the picture of the Fiji water before we move off the
share your
fire
screen.
thing.
Don't send me shit. Share your screen.
It says they haven't been finalized. The results.
Oh my God. I'm logging in right now to see what results I get.
Okay,
Can you
I'm
refer
gonna
this
post
to
it.
Facebook fact checkers or something?
Facebook fact checkers? They've all been fired, haven't they?
Oh,
They're running ChatGPT now, apparently.
Yeah, they've all gone over there.
Insane.
That's crazy.
You also, you need to tweet that.
I'm gonna do it right now. That is really weird.
All right, I'm ready.
So I'm getting you.
So you remember this picture that everyone, like, they were crushing Trump for like drinking with two hands and making the weird like thing with his lips with the Fiji water. So it turns out that these billionaires called the Resnicks, who are like pistachio oligarchs, have basically used like hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money to build this enormous water reservoir and siphon all the water in Southern California away from LA so they could use it for their pistachio farm. And they also happen to own Fiji, like Fiji water. And apparently there's a big scandal because the people who actually, like the residents who live on the island of Fiji, don't have access to like great water, but the Fiji water, like that's in the bottle, comes from the island of Fiji. So they basically are taking the water from the island of Fiji. The people who live there don't have nice water, but people pay top dollar for it in the retail store at the 7-Eleven in America. But it's just hilarious that this picture, which was like a mimetic moment, where the media was crushing him for like, what the hell is he doing? And now it's all kind of come full circle because it's the Fiji people are a big reason why this thing in LA happened. So
wow. Well, I remember the last big fires. I think it was the Paradise Fires when Trump was president, and he came to visit and was walking around touring everything with Newsom, and Newsom immediately blamed it on climate change, and that's when Trump famously told him, "No, actually, the climate's cooling. You'll find that out real soon." And the media went freaking nuts because he was denying climate change. And then he basically told him, you let all the water run right out into the ocean. And, you also don't manage the forest. I mean, he called him out on everything. I do kind of miss that. I wish this had happened. Didn't happen at all. But if it did, I kind of wish Trump was already in office so we could see that again. See Newsom get handed his ass. I mean, it was so clear who the alpha male was in that scenario.
Rocket Savvy 96 in the chat says that the Resnicks control 60% of California water resources.
Yeah, I thought you said that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't say 60%. I had no idea it was that high. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculously high.
60%. Yeah, and largely it's been paid for with public funds.
It's crazy. Yeah, those people should be thrown in prison.
Yep. They also own Palm Wonderful, the juice.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever had that. Okay, so I just checked on my version of ChatGPT. I don't know why it would be any different than yours, but I mean, it gave me sources with its answers, and it said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not expected to attend Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. And Trump has extended formal invitations to China's Xi Jinping, among others. I think El Salvador's president is supposed to be there. I think Javier Milei from Argentina is supposed to be there. I think there's going to be a number that are. And they're blaming his prostate surgery and his arrest warrant with the International Criminal Court. But it also does bring up that video that he posted and then basically gives a bunch of Reuters sources on why he's not going to be there.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is because going back to the Ian Carroll thing is yesterday, I know we're about to go into the funeral. During Jimmy Carter's funeral, Congress passed, they sanctioned the ICC, which, I mean, silver lining, that's great that they sanctioned the UN court, because who wants a globalist court, for issuing those arrest warrants against Netanyahu. Bipartisan passage of that. So they passed that. And then today, like that Ian Carroll thing happens, X is like going crazy on trending, talking about AIPAC and AIPAC's control and influence over Congress. And then right as like that's really picking up and has momentum, the Zuckerberg Joe Rogan interview drops and everyone's talking about, oh my God, I can't believe Facebook was censoring. Wait, what? Facebook was censoring COVID? Like what?
Yeah, can we?
Like people were acting incredulous. Like this is fucking news. Like what?
Well, it's not just that. Like this is the Facebook Zuckerberg thing is an op, 100%. 100%. Everybody's apologizing and like he's playing the victim. Like the government was being so mean and telling me to do all this censorship, and we're trying to like Joe Rogan is helping the world feel bad for Zuckerberg over the bullshit that they pulled. And I'm sitting here like, are we falling for this? I saw accounts on Twitter being like, you know what? We can either do one of two things. We can either like hold a grudge against Zuckerberg forever, or we can just like, maybe see what free speech round 2 feels like. Let's just see what happens.
I mean,
like,
it's so
fuck that.
It's ridiculous,
man.
I mean, why does it have to be either one? I will just continue to ignore Mark Zuckerberg. I don't care.
It's more than that, though. It's more than that. Like, we can't have actual victory, and my opinion on this may have changed over the last little bit. I may have grown a little more sour after all the bullshit we've been through, but I don't think we can get actual victory unless we get some justice for the bullshit, because if we don't get that justice, we're going to end up in the exact same spot we're in right now.
Well, I think you're right, John.
If we let Zuckerberg do this again and just continue on as business as usual, like I told you what I did before, I'll never do that again. Pinky promise, guys.
Yeah, there has to be repercussions. I mean, it's
so a little ironic. Go ahead.
Go ahead, G.
I just think it's ironic that also while Newsom was talking to Biden, he was telling Biden to fight disinformation while Zuckerberg is doing the Joe Rogan thing.
Yeah, exactly. Fight the disinformation here. No, you're right, John. There has to be repercussions for actions. Like if Fauci came out tomorrow and said, you know what, I panicked and I lied about a bunch of stuff, whatever, made a full-on apology about it. Doesn't take back what he did. He doesn't take back all the hundreds of thousands of people he's murdered in his career. So we should just like be okay with that. I mean, it's way too easy. I mean, if you murder somebody, you don't get to just apologize and not pay for your crime, right? So
you would be surprised at how often that actually does happen in a court of law. Where
I know,
but
I'm just
saying,
you murdered this person.
I'm just saying, theoretically, in our society,
we've gone
generally,
soft,
theoretically, as we do,
we're soft.
I agree, but in reality, yes. But theoretically, we are. If we do a crime, we don't get to just apologize for it and not get punished in some way. Theoretically, I know people get away with murder all the time, but I'm with you. I don't think it's just because Zuckerberg seems to have come along on the freedom of speech train. Or right. Yeah, I'm not buying it, A, but B, even if I was buying it, well, you still interfered with the 2020 election in a pretty heavy-handed way. You have to pay for that.
So for me, the reason I don't give a shit is because I have dealt with the censorship for many, many years now. Instagram was the first platform to ban me back in 2018. Okay. And I just expect it. I also believe that each and every one of these people need to be held accountable. But I also maintain a strict delineation between a public relations campaign, which is what Zuckerberg is waging right now, and the actual legal repercussions, which I don't expect to even come into the conversation until after President Trump is sworn back in. So if people are going to look at Zuck and they're going to be caught up in the glamour and the mysticism, oh, I'm so sorry your multi-billion-dollar company was threatened by the DOJ. I know actual people whose lives have been ruined by this fucking government. Okay, I want people to pay. I want people to be held accountable. But Zuckerberg means absolutely nothing to me. I don't understand why people are framing it in this way, unless maybe they're being paid to do so. But this is not an either-or situation. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. It's obvious what he's doing. He's trying to hedge his bets. He's trying to get into Trump's good graces. He's trying to kiss the ring. Even Google has now given $1 million to Trump's inaugural ball fund. Okay, all of these people just want to make sure that they're not going to face the wrath of President Trump's new administration. I sincerely hope, in terms of Trump, that doesn't happen. All right, but I'm not going to put my eggs in any basket until he's actually in office again.
Wow. Here's an example of what I was saying earlier from Jordan Schachtel, who, by the way, in the very, very, very early days of Badlands, Chris Paul interviewed him. And I used to think this guy was like based. And then he posted this. Here's how I see it. Two options. One, accept that Mark Zuckerberg, who has the power to steer Meta via majority voting shares, is making an honest effort to right the ship. Or number two, hold on to past grievances forever and refuse to embrace new free speech shift. I say give him a chance. There's like 4 other options, most of which involve jail time for Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, grovel and deep throat, and then maybe you can have a free speech base.
Well, hang on.
And this
hang
is the
on.
problem. Go ahead, Ash.
Well, this moment reminds me of when we learned about visibility filtering. It was this, oh my gosh, shock, horror from the tech owners that, oh my gosh, this is happening. There's censorship and there's these flags they'll put on your account and they're censoring you. And Mark Zuckerberg is out there acting like a victim. The government was giving us so much pressure. It was really hard. And you complied. That's part of the story that you need to tell. And you censored anybody that noticed and called us all conspiracy theories when we pointed out that political viewpoints were being censored. Right. And now they're victims. When they did the disclosure on visibility filtering in the Twitter files, they told us what was happening. They never stopped doing it. It's still very much happening.
Yeah,
I think that's this kind of situation. I don't trust anything about it.
That's what I think we need to start talking about. What are we going to do about it? I mean, they're not going to stop exploiting us. It's almost like we need a new declaration of sovereignty, you know? And funny enough,
shameless plug.
I wrote one. No, honestly, like, you know, they wrote a Declaration of Independence. They were tired of being exploited. They said, you know what? Enough of this shit. We, the interconnected people of the entire world now, have a stronger network that we can organize with, right? And so why not we just declare our own independence from all this bullshit and just opt out? You know, and I think we need to start thinking in those terms, because really all we're doing is sitting here complaining and doing nothing. Like,
well, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I have opted out. Like, a majority of my assets at this point are in Bitcoin. Gee, you've won me over time and time again, no matter how many people and boomers in the chat you piss off, you have won me over. I'm sold.
You've won me over as well.
But there is still an aspect of this where we're in a narrative warfare and we're seeing these ops unfold. And part of, I think, our mission, our job, as we see the narrative warfare and these ops unfold, is to call them out for what they are. And here's another great example of this. This is Charlie Kirk. So not to offend anybody in the chat right now, but you guys need to understand what we're up against.
I will offend.
This is what he says. Mark Zuckerberg on a new episode of Joe Rogan's podcast blasts the Biden regime. They pushed us super hard to take down things that were true. Anything that says vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And he says the truth is coming out. And Ghost, I think you said earlier, we've known about this for a while. Like, all of us knew this was true. All of us knew this was true back in like fucking 2020. And we had proof of this in 2022, if not sooner, through some of this document shit that's come out from the Weaponization of Government Committee. But no, the truth is finally coming out. And this is coming from Charlie Kirk, who Bannon outed and confirmed that told Bannon, you can't talk about election fraud on my platform. Charlie Kirk, who's never been banned from Twitter, never been banned from YouTube, never been banned from Facebook, Meta, or any of those things. The truth is finally coming out. We just are now learning about it now. Yeah. We had no idea before this.
It's amazing.
This has been out here forever.
It's a Christmas
Talking
miracle.
about it.
And here's what really pisses. Here's like was really upsetting. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in everybody right now because because look, like what have I heard everybody talk about for the past 2 or 3 years? Ever since we had like that whole Kevin McCarthy 15-day like whatever like episode, everyone was like, well, you know what, this Congress is going to be all about exposure and disclosure, and we're going to do like investigations, and we're going to get all the facts, right? And to be honest, that was a little lackluster. Like we didn't get nearly as much shit as I thought we were going to get, or as much stuff as people promised we were going to get. But one thing we did get is we did get the censorship stuff from COVID. We did get that. They dragged Mark Zuckerberg up there. They didn't get a lot out of him. I mean, he got subpoenaed. He had to go up there and answer questions. He was very, very reluctant to say anything. But they did get out of him that he was forced to censor. They got basically what he just voluntarily went and told the biggest podcast in the world after being dragged in front of Congress and subpoenaed and refused to say anything. He comes and tells the whole story and get his whole sob story. I expect him. He's a little weasel rat. I expect him to do that. What I don't expect is for everyone else to fawn over it and to act like this is new information that we didn't learn 2 years ago. One, in Congress, and then two, there was a court case where a judge ruled that this all had to be released, and it all got released. So we've known about this officially since I think it was the middle of 2023. The judge released all these files that confirmed all this, but we also had a congressional hearing where Mark Zuckerberg disclosed most of this stuff. And so the fact that we're circling back now and we're acting like this is all brand new, this is what Chris Paul talks about when he talks about gatekeeping, and he talks about us like spinning wheels, and we're just sitting here like focusing on little things rather than going to the next place and like the next truth. We're never going to get to the point where we learn about Jeffrey Epstein and 9/11 and JFK if we're sitting here letting them spin our wheels about fucking 2020 censorship. Exactly. You're going to be here forever.
This is the problem right here. Carla Burton, I appreciate you so much because you're always on YouTube, leaving comments. You're always watching on YouTube. Luckily, we're on YouTube. Zach, by the way, when did you get kicked off of YouTube?
I got kicked off October 15th, 2020, after I had 2 videos done on the Hunter Biden laptop, and they were approaching 500,000 in views in less than 24 hours.
So I feel like you may have been aware of some sort of censorship going on back in October of 2020.
I mean, before that. Yeah.
Yeah, but Carla, because Joe Rogan is the pace car for normies. When the normies are allowed to believe something, it goes on Joe Rogan. That's the problem. We don't need a fucking pace car. We don't need a pace car. That is a bad excuse. No offense, Carla. Again, I'm not trying to attack you personally. This is the 500,000th time I've seen this exact comment today. You just happen to be the one that came up, and I pulled it up on the screen. That is such a terrible excuse because it's bullshit. If Joe Rogan would have been talking about censorship and COVID vaccine injuries and election theft problems and all this bullshit back in 2020 when it was taking place, we may not have had to gone through these last 4 years. That's just step one. We got to stop leaving excuses for these people. But then not only that, he's exposing it now, the pace car, whatever, that's part of it. But he's pushing Zuckerberg on this pedestal as if he's this victim. It's the Me Too movement for Zuckerberg right now because he's the victim of the Biden administration censorship apparatus. And that is bullshit. He partook in it. He willingly partook in it and raked in billions of dollars.
Well, he had a Spotify deal, dude. He had a YouTube deal and then a Spotify deal.
This is where it gets fucked, though, because all we're getting is partial disclosures on everything. And I think the problem is that all of us think at some point the hammer is going to drop. It's not going to drop, you guys. They are going to protect themselves the entire way through this. And so we keep jumping. You keep saying, our job is to just expose these stories. No, it's not our job. Our job is to go one step further and declare this revolution, right? Because we're just sitting here going from one story to the next story, and we're going to get partial disclosure after partial disclosure. And it's like a rug after rug after rug until we actually organize and say, we are done. We're not participating anymore, right? Power of the government comes from consent of the governed. We no longer consent to your proof of stake bullshit rank and file system. We need to make a stand. We need to make our own declaration, and we need to say it and act on it. Like, running from story to story to get partial disclosures is going to just make us go nuts in the next 10 years.
But to make your plan work, you have to win. You have to win over the hearts and minds of the people. You have to get people to buy into your idea of rebelling against the system in order for the system to be overthrown.
Well, we only need 3.51%.
And so that's a rhetoric that's a rhetoric war that you have to win. You have to win the art of persuasion, and that's really what we're trying to do. And so it's hard to take the next step in persuading people if we're just circling back to talk about things that we all knew intrinsically in 2020, and we got definitive disclosure in 2022 and 2023. And now in 2025, we are sitting here like clapping like trained seals because Mark Zuckerberg goes on Joe Rogan and says, yeah, the FBI twisted my arm to make me delete posts on Facebook. But I fought really hard for your funny memes, guys.
It's not just that we're circling back either, though. Like, we're circling back, clapping like seals. And then on top of that, we're like forgiving the people who committed it and being like, yeah, just, this time, don't do that. You'll never do that again. There's no way you'll ever do that
regression.
Again.
Yeah, it is regression. Yeah.
It's our job.
We only need 3.51%, Ghost. We don't need that many.
That's true.
But
That's true.
okay. And so the goal and the hope is that Trump is going to help push the ball forward on all this stuff, the disclosure, everything. But we can't rely on that. We don't know the obstacles that are going to be in the way or any of that. I think it's up to us in our community and the people who, and it's not just our community, there's other communities out there that are talking about similar things to us. We have to push the ball forward and get the vision of America we want.
John,
if we don't do it ourselves, it's not going to happen.
Did you see my declaration of sovereignty I put out?
No, I don't follow you or read anything you post.
I think it's important to point out, it's important to point out that during the American Revolution, roughly, I think it was 40% of the population literally said they don't give a shit what happens. They don't care which side wins. They were completely uninvested and did not care one way or the other. If Britain wins, great. If if the colonists win, great. Who cares? Like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to go farm my land and I'm going to go, drink some mead and,
the only thing
and go to bed.
The only thing that's changed now is, instead of farm the land, it's watch reality TV and and drink whatever they drink now. But I would say those numbers are probably about the same.
Speaking of reality,
so many people just don't give a shit, and maybe that's what that listener was trying to make the point about the pace car for normies. I mean, there are some people that just
John's point, but
matter.
To John's point, the normies are gonna go along with whichever side wins. It's like if Trump and MAGA win, great. Like, we're gonna have a great gilded age of future. If the technocrats win, okay, great. We're gonna have reality television and Netflix and chill and Neuralink and like numb me, give me CBDC, and like, we're good. Like, they're gonna go along to get along, whatever happens. So waiting for them to like get up to our level so that we can move forward is not a winning strategy. We have to lead and push through, and then they will follow us through the hole that we're going to form. Like, we are the fullback. We're the fullback. We got to push through the line so that we can score a touchdown. That's what we got to do.
Okay, so I would love some feedback on this. John, do you want to put it on the screen real quick, and I'll read just the first paragraph or something, just to give everybody an idea of what we're talking about, right? We need a new Declaration of Independence. Okay,
you wrote this thing.
So what I did was I fused together the Declaration of Independence, the Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace by John Perry Barlow, Soft War, and Bitcoin to a new Declaration of Sovereignty of basically flesh and code. Okay, because we need to start talking about this. We need to start talking about how we move the ball forward in a sovereign way. And so, putting ideas like this, I'm looking for feedback. I built this, but I'm happy for you guys to add to it or critique it or whatever. But it starts off as like, as human evolution advances and decentralized technologies emerge, a new social contract becomes necessary for the citizens of the physical and digital realms to declare independence from the old, antiquated structures of centralized authority. We, the interconnected individuals of the world, assume the natural rights endowed to us by our Creator and affirm our sovereignty in both flesh and code. And it goes through like a list of basically saying like, these are all the offenses. These are all the things that we've tried to petition our government about, and they've ignored us. They've exploited us. They've continually take advantage of us.
Can you show me where it says Bitcoin in here?
Sure. Well, let me read the. It's down towards. I think it's down towards the bottom. Farther.
I I like this, G. Keep going.
So, okay, I'll read the second paragraph. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with unalienable rights, including liberty, privacy, private property, and the pursuit of knowledge. Governments derive their legitimacy from the consent of the governed. Whenever any government becomes destructive to those principles, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish and establish a new system grounded in principles that best protect their sovereign, best protect the right of the people. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here.
Do we really need a new constitution though, or do we need to get back to like the original one?
This isn't a constitution. It's a Declaration of Independence. Different document.
Protect their sovereignty, property, safety, and happiness. But when a sustained pattern of abuses and usurpations reveals a deliberate strategy to impose absolute despotism, it becomes not only the right, but the solemn duty of the people to overthrow such tyranny and establish new protections for their future security. To prove the necessity of this declaration, we submit the following examples of systematic failures and overreach for the digital world. It talks about censorship. It talks about mass surveillance. It talks about currency devaluing. And so you keep going down, but it basically, sets up a structure for us to declare independence, the interconnected web people, right? We can all get together and say, hey, we're going to, consent to this new paradigm moving forward. And
my honest feedback here, G, if this mentions Bitcoin at all, you need to take it out. People should gravitate towards Bitcoin naturally. I would take out any mention of actual Bitcoin from it.
It's probably a good idea. That's probably good advice.
But
especially because it's such a divisive thing anyway. It's like such a buzzword
when it comes to you. Yes,
I think to your point too, Ghost. Right, most people don't care about it. Right, most people don't care. Didn't care about what the hell happened. Mm-hmm. And it's the small group of people, the 3.51% that actually understand it, that actually create the new world. And so for those people that don't understand Bitcoin, we technically don't need them. Sorry, we have enough. Right. If we keep building on the people that know it and understand it, we create that new world and we manifest that new collective consciousness in freedom, in sovereignty, based in a decentralized, unfuckwithable ledger. Right. And so I think that's where we need to go.
Yeah. I feel like you're ahead of the game with a lot of the stuff, G. I think even that we need that, but I feel like we're 2, 3, 4 steps removed from people even realizing how usurped we've become. And it still starts with us calling out the bullshit when we see it. And people, I don't know how, I feel like we talk about this all the time. We talk about these psyops where we just cheerlead on these, as Chris would say, TV characters. Be like, yes, yeah, Joe Rogan finally talked about censorship on Facebook and Zuckerberg admitted it. And everybody's like, yay, team.
Yeah.
And then what does that mean? What next? We can't stand for that shit.
Well,
but do you think, John, it's a case of people seeing that as progress, not so much they're celebrating it? I know there are a lot of people that are celebrating, but I know friends of mine that are pretty based and pretty informed. They're not necessarily Badlanders, but they get it and they see that as hey, things are finally starting to come around, and it's just a positive step in the right direction, not necessarily the be all end all or
I understand that argument, but here's the thing: they're saying that because Charlie Kirk and Joe Rogan, and
right?
Tucker
Because
Carlson,
Con Inc. is pushing.
All these Con Inc. people are out there saying this is a step in the right direction. And technically speaking, it's a step in the right direction. But the thing is that the reason, this step in that right direction could have happened 3 years ago if those same people tuned on now would have been talking about it then. John, go look at Charlie Kirk's timeline and look up censorship.
Right.
He has not once said anything about censorship or election fraud since December of 2020.
What you are missing, John, is that if they had talked about these things during this time that you're saying they should have been talked about, they would have been demonetized, they would have been deplatformed, and they wouldn't have been paid. So what you're seeing is a realignment of the monetization gods. Okay. Now
we don't know that for sure, though.
Well, I'm only stating that from personal experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would have happened if Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, Dan Bongino, Tim Pool, we're talking millions of viewers with just those 5 people.
It would have been a game
what if there's
changer.
50 of them who all started talking about that shit and all got kicked off? All of their followers would have been like, where'd my favorite people go? They would have found them. They would have found them somewhere, and they would have been talking about the truth. And we may never have had to gone through these last 4 years or any of this bullshit.
You're
Absolutely.
right, but
I'm not
millions
going to
of
forgive that
dollars were
away
at
just
stake,
because
John.
of. But we still have a platform because we didn't talk about those.
I'm being totally facetious with my commentary here. Okay?
I know, but that's a common response.
No, it is, but it's fucking dumb. Okay, I mean, like, yes, these people would have lost their paychecks. I know because I lost my fucking paycheck. Okay, like, I mean, like, we've been scraping by these last several years, but we've been true to ourselves, and we can go to sleep at night because we know that we are not keeping things from our audience because we're afraid of being suppressed because we might say something wrong.
Amen.
Yeah. Some quick facts on that the Declaration of Independence here. Declaration of Independence was signed 15 months after the fighting started in the American Revolution. At any given time, only 1% of the population was actually participating, doing anything. And that means like even acting as like a spy, running intelligence, anything. Only 1% of the population was participating. I think a total of 3% over the entire course of like the 8 years participated. In the colony of South Carolina alone, the British recruited more people to sign up for militias to fight against the colonists than the entire Continental Army recruited over across all the colonies combined. So you had overwhelming odds like against the colonists. However, you still had people who were brave enough to stand up and sign the Declaration of Independence, pledging their fortunes, pledging their lives, pledging everything. 9 of them ended up losing everything they had. They were totally bankrupt for the rest of their life as a result. A few of them were killed. Their families were killed. I mean, people suffered. Thomas Jefferson had the bad guy, the real life villain from The Patriot, the guy who was that was based on him, came to Monticello, came to his house, and literally chased him through the woods. He had to leave his family behind and tried to kill him. Okay, so these guys faced real consequences, but they had the courage to still do it. John Hancock, for example, was considered the reason that his name was such a big deal was because he was Elon Musk. He was totally in the pocket of the British. He was 100% one of their guys, and that he felt what they were doing was so messed up in Boston that when it was time to sign, he got up and ran to the front and signed his name in big letters and said, "Hang me first, motherfucker, because I hate all of you." Even though he was the richest
John
one.
Hancock to Elon Musk. Can you retract that? Everything else you said was perfect until you said that.
But I'm saying he was a regime guy. He was breaded up, super regime. He's the one who funded the entire militia that fought at the first battle of Lexington and Concord. He paid for all those guns. So he had the most to lose, and he was the one who went up and signed his name first and said, "Hang me first when it's time to hang all of us."
Like,
where's that courage?
Yeah, the digital age, man. The digital age. We don't have to take up arms. We now have digital arms, right, Ghost? And we can just start opting out. Like, what was this country founded on? A tax revolt, right? If we stop complying with their bullshit, they have to like all of a sudden figure out how to make us comply again, right? And we just like opt out. And so that's why I think there's a big necessity for us to organize in a new declaration and put it in a system to where the government can't take it from us. They can't confiscate it. And we can just tell them to fuck off. We're not violent. We're actually peaceful. It's soft war, literally soft war.
But isn't that capability built into Bitcoin anyway? Why do we need a declaration?
Well, because you can keep funding
a rally
pedophiles
cry
if you want. You want to keep sending money to Ukraine and funding pedophiles? That's on you, right?
It's a rally cry. It's the same reason they needed a declaration in 1776, even though they had already been fighting for 15 months. They had already been fighting. It was already clear they were at war, but they still put all their grievances down, said, "Here's why we're doing this." Big middle finger, sign it, stamp it, send it to Britain, so they had a copy of it. And then they pulled it out, and George Washington read it a few days after. He read it to the army, who were all, fighting. They hadn't won a battle at that point, by the way. They didn't win a battle until later that year, Christmas night, the Battle of Trenton, the Durham boats. That was the first battle they won. So they still hadn't won a battle by the time they were signing the declaration. Also worth noting that 4 days, they gave George Wythe and his three guys 4 days to come up with a flag for Virginia. and so that they came up with the famous Sink Snipper Tyrannus, the guy standing over the other guy, but killing the king with his crown on the ground. They sent that flag to George Washington when he read the Declaration, and he was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go!" Like that was the attitude. The attitude was, "Let's fucking go," even though they were losing.
I do have Six Semper Tyrannis tattooed on my arm. But anyways, if you want to read my declaration, it's on 1776.love, and we only need 1%. We don't need the retarded gold boomers as part of this, because they're going to opt in anyway, and they're protecting their old system. We're going to go to a new system with or without them. We don't care, right? We're going to forge that new path of freedom, and eventually they're going to get on board because they've got another choice. And so go read it.
Can we talk for a second? Like, I don't think people understand this point here. We have never actually experienced any form of free speech in the internet age. It's never happened. And but yet we're celebrating these small wins. We're like, oh, Elon Musk bought Twitter, and even though you have to have a blue check mark and only be positive and not ratio him, we all have free speech. And Zuckerberg admitting to the fact checks and the censorship and all this shit, like, that's a win for us. But we have never actually experienced free speech. We don't know what a world with actual free speech feels like.
We had free speech on MySpace.
Did we though?
We did. There was no censorship on MySpace. I was on Friendster before MySpace.
And everyone was learning to code on MySpace.
Maybe
why they had to
my
kill
page
it.
was balling, dude.
The problem is nobody cares about it, John. Nobody cares about free speech.
But that's the thing. That's our job, to make people care. People don't even understand they don't have free speech.
They would rather be on Truth Social and go like play circle jerk than do free speech. They'd rather be on Trump's platform than have free speech.
Have you even experienced a Trump train, bro? Do you even know what you're talking about?
Dude, I go over to Truth Social, and I have to go and follow people because I have to throw up in my mouth half the time from some of the idiots, the Magadonians.
It's honestly the last platform I go on because all the bullshit.
I never go on there at all.
I don't either.
It's just
I like Twitter. It has potential, but it's not free speech. None of these. There is no such thing as a free speech platform. Except maybe Rumble might be the only one that exists, and they have their own problems. Like every technology brings its own problems. It is what it is. But by the way, they're El Salvador. Chris Pavlovsky's in El Salvador today. I texted him. I was like, "Dude, is this about Bitcoin?" And then he texted me the Rumble Cloud thing. I was like, "Oh, that's cool, but it's still about
always
Bitcoin,
about Bitcoin,
right?" Yeah.
Did I piss him off going up to him, or was he cool?
Oh, he's cool. He gave us like a $200 rant that night, I think. Ash, do you remember?
More than that. He did like a bunch of them. Yeah.
Memberships.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I better get a cut of that one, dude.
You get no cut. Your cut was the cut of cocaine you probably did on Sailor's Boat. Lucky motherfucker.
I just like to say, President Trump, if you're watching, I think Truth Social is delightful.
Yeah, the only G hates.
God King lover over there, Ash. Waiting for Trump to come back in 10 days and do everything for her.
I think
that's
me. I think there's nothing
I definitely
wrong.
Wait for men to help me.
I think there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of what we have available to us. I think there's nothing wrong with celebrating small victories. But I think that we're kidding ourselves if we don't have honest conversations about the way things should change. I mean, is the fact that people that we have criticized tonight, and I do it out of love, okay? People that we've criticized, is the fact that they've done things that we would have done differently, a condemnation of them as a person wholly, and it doesn't mean that they've never done anything good. Not in my mind, but I think that courage is something that, I mean, you really have to have courage to be able to say things. And, you know, I would, somebody said, fuck your paycheck when I said that earlier. Try having your entire life destroyed because you say what you believe and you do it with courage. Okay. So come to me and tell me where you work. And then let's go see what happens, how good it feels when you have the courage to stand up and say something and they try to take everything from you. It doesn't feel good. Okay.
Especially in a country where that is supposed to be protected.
Exactly.
75% of the people got the jab to keep their job 4 years ago. I mean, come on, 3 years ago.
And never buy a fur coat with a credit card until you absolutely have the money to pay for it.
And this happened to me before I even had a platform. Okay. Before I had a show. All right. And then I got a show and then it happened. All right. And then it happened again. And then it happened again. And then it happened again. But I didn't change the way I spoke. I didn't change the content of my program. I didn't change the things that I said. Okay. Like I did my best to continue getting as much information out there to people. And I truly believe that everyone should have as much courage to do that, because I think that if we have what these gentlemen and this lady are talking about, okay, that critical mass of people all around the United States and around the world, if everybody had the same level of courage and stood up and said, I don't care what you say, I'm going to speak truth and I'm going to demand a better life for myself and my family, I think that they would have no choice but to deliver on that. All right.
Think about what you said there. It's not just the demonetization. Like Ash, you got sued to shit and are still in legal battles. I had Mike Rothschild file an affidavit trying to get me to lose my kids in my divorce. Yeah. Ghost, you don't even have water right now. And J-Treat and G-Money, they're trying to burn your shit to the ground. Like this shit's real. Like people don't understand. We don't talk about it because we don't try to play victim. Like no. we don't. We're not in it to play victim. We're not in it for the money. We're not in it for any of that shit. The people in Badlands, the crew that we have such good crew. I would say a majority of the people I would vouch for are in this for the right reason.
Well, don't say that though, because then people are going to ask who isn't in it for the right reason.
Well, I'll let you know when I find out. Next time somebody is not in Badlands anymore, instead of bitching at us, be like, okay, maybe they just weren't in it for the right reasons. Maybe that's it. Okay, guys. Maybe that's just as simple as that. Fuck it.
So courage is great, but at the end of the day, it's going to be force. It's going to be watts. Okay, because
maybe.
Naked force, right, has resolved more conflicts throughout history than any other factor. And so we can stand up, we can talk, but you have to use force. You have to use actual power, because otherwise they're going to continually exploit us until we actually use power against them. But we can use power.
What is that? What do you mean by force?
What do I mean by force?
There's different kinds of power. What you mean?
I'm asking G-Money. What do you mean by force?
Bit power. I'm talking about actual bit power, to where an individual can harness unlimited watts in cyberspace to defend their property and sovereignty. Okay, because
could it also be narrative though, like information? Like this is an information war.
Yeah, absolutely, it's information. Of course, it is. It's everything. But an individual can have the same power as a government or institution or military by harnessing all the watts in space. Meaning, if they want to take your property, they want to take your sovereignty, they have to come battle all of us. And so, if they attack, if we maneuver warfare them to our battlefield and say, we're stopped complying, we're not going to file our taxes, you have to come after us, come to the battlefield of Bitcoin. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. And that's what we need to force the battle is to that battlefield where we, the people, win.
So metaphorical force, because it works in the digital space if you're talking about digital property, but how does that force equation work? IRL, think Alpha's house, people showing up, flashbangs 3 a.m. How does that work?
Well, obviously that's going to be limited, right?
Good point.
What was the answer?
What did John say?
I said, don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But he gave me an answer and I didn't hear it.
Alpha's a Fed anyway. Like that was probably already planned. Who gives a shit?
You're pretty glowy tonight, Mr. Force.
I was going to say Fed.
He's talking about, he's dancing around it though. He's talking about Bitcoin. He's talking about software. He's talking about using your dollars to fight back.
By the way, the official position of Badlands Media for the IRS watching is we do advocate people pay their taxes. Just wanted to get that on record.
We love paying taxes.
But G-Money, say whatever you want to say right now.
Okay. And so here's how it works, right? They're going to print the money anyway. They're already printing money like crazy, right? But they're also taking in your tax dollars through your compliance, right? If we do both, right? If we strangle them on both ends, because they got to print more money no matter what. But if you also strangle them on the taxation, that means they have to print even more money, okay? Making them print more money, right, to come after us through bureaucratic means, which is enforcement, which is new wars, which is whatever they want to do, right? Their energy printing machine eventually goes to zero, and we accelerate that action by not only not filing our taxes and not paying them, but also from the other shit that they've already done to where they're going to have to keep spending money. And so what that essentially does is they will print themselves out of power, because they will have nothing left to actually enforce that power with, because it's just fiat dollars, it's pieces of paper. when our sovereignty and our digital property is protected in cyberspace that they cannot touch, they cannot censor, they cannot confiscate, they cannot block. And so this is where I'm talking about 5G warfare, non-kinetic warfare, to where we the people actually have power once again. And then if they want to do something, then we voluntarily can agree to it. You want to go bomb Ukraine or you want to go bomb Russia? Start a GoFundMe, bro, right? You want to give people money in LA for their fires? GoFundMe, bro. They no longer can control any of it because we've taken away their ability to print energy. And this is all about...
Is GoFundMe a military contractor? No.
GoFundMe, bro. I think there should be GoFundMe, bro.
GoFundMe, bro. GoFundMe.bro.
I do agree.
Let's
we need to get rid of all foreign aid. Like all foreign aid.
It's not going away unless you tell them and you opt out. It's not going away. We have to accelerate.
To your point, though.
Okay, I opt out. Is it going away now?
That's all it took, Ash. Finally.
But G, to get people to, because I think you're right. I think it's about people subscribing to a parallel system. That's the mindset you're trying to get people in. A parallel system, a system that is outside of the current system, right? But to get people there, first you have to get them to defect, to unsubscribe from the system they're in right now. That's step one. That's step one.
If you're defecting from what's happening right now, you're borderline retarded at this point.
Well, dude, there are a lot of retarded people out there.
Have you ever thought that maybe you're the problem?
Yeah, I've always known I'm the problem. But also back to Ghost's point, we only need 1%. And I think we already have that. They just need to get to that next level.
Well, 1% to do the power projection, to do the show of force, not kinetic force, but the show of force, like 1% bought into the software idea. But I think from a larger standpoint, we need a much larger percentage to defect from a narrative standpoint to have the momentum to actually have real power projection to say you no longer have any power. Oligarchy, very small oligarchy.
That's the point. So, like, G, the reason you're in Badlands, a lot of people here, everybody here loves you. We see what you're doing, and we agree with you. A lot of us have put a lot of our fiat currency into Bitcoin. Okay, but also, like, we've been talking about narrative warfare and information warfare for a long ass time, and that's the stuff that's the tangible stuff that we can see taking place with like something like this Zuckerberg op. Like, we can see Joe Rogan and conning, simping for Zuckerberg, and like this whole apology tour. It's fucking disgusting, trying to make him the victim. And we can look at that and be like, see guys, they are trying to make him a victim, so there is no punishment or justice for the bullshit he pulled. And so he's there again when they need him next time, when the regime needs him next time after Trump, because there is going to be something that comes after Trump. The MAGA movement is bigger than Trump. He's the face of the current movement, but the movement itself is bigger than Trump. There has to be a next step forward. Are they going to fuck us there too? We have a lot of work to do to make sure they don't fuck us again.
Well, and they're going to continue.
And if Zuckerberg's still there on Facebook, and if Musk is still there doing what he's doing right now on Twitter, because what he's doing right now on Twitter it's really not that much better than what Zuckerberg's been doing. I don't even know who's in charge of CommieTube anymore. But they're doing the same thing. All of these platforms, there is no such thing as free speech. We don't have free speech. We have a long way to go, and we're not going to fix any of it if we don't at least start calling it out and stop clapping like seals, like you said earlier, Ghost.
Yep. For
these people, just because people are talking about it now. Like, we'll talk about it. But we're not going to fix anything that way. We have to call out the people asking for us to cheerlead. We don't need cheer coaches. We need change. We don't get change without demanding it.
I think the CEO of YouTube is literally an H-1B visa holder.
No way.
No, for real.
Wouldn't surprise me. Dude, for the past 10 years, for 10 years, I've been on the internet, like part of like different communities that have all been pushed, like talking about what we're talking about right now, obviously in far more segmented, like anonymous places 10 years ago. And then especially once Q came around, it's like the excitement was reaching a fever pitch. But you just have to understand that everyone in who's saying it will come, like trust the plan, like things are going to happen, like someone's going to fix it, someone else is going to fix it. I'm not going to fix it. We're not going to fix it. Someone else is going to fix it for us, and then they're going to give us this thing that we're then going to have. And yeah, we all to a certain degree understand that there are good forces in the world that are trying to help us achieve this. But we should not have the mentality that somebody else, like, outsource our salvation to somebody else who is going to come save us and then give us this thing that's going to be perfectly made, this perfect little encapsulation of sovereignty. They're going to give it to you, and then you're going to have it for all time, and no one's ever going to come take it from you. That's a fairy tale. We need to understand that if you want to take your sovereignty back, you have to participate in that process. Right now, there's a 50-50 chance that post-Trump, we end up with another oligarchy that is, somewhat similar to what we have now. Maybe not satanic, but certainly greedy and self-absorbed, and they want to have the things for themselves.
If Connie gets their way, we're going to get DeSantis post-Trump. Do any of you guys trust that DeSantis is the guy post-Trump? Honestly?
Exactly. But if we have a system by that point where, like to G's point, that we have a system that is far more about the sovereign individual, where the sovereign individual has far more power, and the stakeholders are actually able to project that power in some sort of metaphysical way, Bitcoin might be the answer. That then sets us up to not be reliant on a benevolent oligarchy, because right now we are totally reliant on a benevolent oligarchy. We are totally reliant on Donald Trump being the guy and delivering on every single thing that Q promises he's going to deliver. And that puts us in a very vulnerable, weak position. And we need to be in a very strong position by the time this is all over.
So we should allow other people to talk for a little bit.
What you just said there, Ghost, has been like my position since the beginning. This has to be about us doing this work. We cannot put our faith externally in one person. The only thing we should be putting faith in is God, and then we've got to do the work. Yes, there will be leaders. You can look to those people for direction, but for the actual on the ground work, that's us. Now, I never got from the posts that we were supposed to be looking to Donald Trump as like Jesus Christ 2.0 or anything like that. Some people have taken it to mean that Donald Trump will fix everything and it's only going to be him that does it. I mean, Donald Trump's message has always been about returning power to we the people, okay?
Full control, Zach.
Okay, well, but, everybody has their own definition and everybody reads into those posts in their own way. My position has always been that the point of those posts was to rally us so that we would understand that it is we, the people, that has to make sure that our sovereignty, that our freedom, that our liberty is protected and continues on past Donald Trump, okay? Donald Trump is a symbol. Donald Trump is a rallying cry. We, the people, are the ones that are actually going to be needing to do the work. So I never got that from the post. And I always, that was always my message in talking about that stuff, is that, we have to be the ones doing this stuff. We can't be expecting somebody else does it, because then we're just trading one type of slavery for another. And I see it all the time. I mean, people want to be led. Okay. They want to look outside of themselves. And that's, in general, I'm talking about humanity. I'm not necessarily talking about anybody in the audience tonight, but I think more than anything, we're the people who, heard the message, heard the rallying cry, and are willing to be active in the physical world.
Number one, anytime anybody says, like, I'm not specifically talking about anybody in the chat. You totally are. So you can.
Somebody out there is going to be like, why would you say that to me? I know you're talking to me, one of the 10,000 people who are in the chat right now, and I can't even see your name, but
number two, don't let me forget to talk about the Obama-Trump thing, because it's exactly like I need to talk about that before we end tonight's show.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up one small point with Zach. I mean, I'm certainly one of those people that have interpreted the Great Awakening to mean like we've been a slumbering public for decades, centuries, however long, and that's how they get away with this. With enslaving us, is you fall asleep, you get enslaved, and So to me, the Great Awakening is just people being awake, alert to what's going on at all times, and not letting these shitbags get away with stuff. And it's as simple as that. I just keep it simple and just keep your eyes open. I mean, so nobody's going to rob you if you got your eyes open, right? And you got your head on a swivel. So, yeah. So I don't think anybody's here to rescue us, but it's certainly the Great Awakening was is a process to not only be awakened, but to stay awake. If we go back to sleep, you go right back to where you started. So And that, to me, that's what the whole Q op was about, starting that awakening process.
Ash?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, for Christmas this year, I gave myself stop drinking. So I haven't had a drink since Christmas, and I regret it.
Well, my gift to you is
you can end it now, Ash.
Yeah.
You can end it as we speak.
That's my gift to you. I did not give myself that gift for Christmas. Can we talk about the Obama thing?
Yes.
Because this really, like, it really made me realize something that has been bugging me, or maybe it just started bugging me. Obama and Trump both attended the Carter funeral. They sat down next to each other. Trump was a little chummy with Obama, and no shit, like at least half my Twitter feed was like, "Oh, Obama's been part of the plan the whole time, guys." Like, and I couldn't even take it. I couldn't even respond, like, honestly, to what I wanted to say to these people, because I would have lost. I would have offended a lot of people. And it pointed out this bigger problem that I'm seeing with the Q stuff. And guys, half of bad, honestly, probably even more. Ash, have you read the drops?
Not all of them.
Not all of them. I would say, okay, outside of you, probably 95, 96, 97, like most of the people, I can't think of anybody else in Badlands besides me and you then that haven't read all the drops. I would say everybody else has.
CanCon. He started reading them though, but yes, but Normie CanCon and you, I think.
Okay, Normie CanCon. We don't really count him because of how Normie he is, and it doesn't matter how many drops he reads.
Teasing you.
He will still be Normie. Okay, so outside of those few, well, like we're a very pro Q channel. Like, we have a Q show. People talk about Q all the time. It happens. We talk about Q on Devolution Power Hour all the time. I'm all about the digs. Love research. Love deep digs. All these things. I'm seeing this forced, awkward, manufactured, like, oh my gosh, see this picture from 1980 of Trump making this like, he, in a speech, he said the number 17. How long has this been going on? And it's kind of like, it's super gay to me right now. Like, I cannot stand that shit's clickbait. Do you know what I'm saying, guys? Like, I can't be the only one.
I know
like,
what people are.
People
Let's watch the video.
Reuben sandwiches.
Share my screen. I'll play the video, and we can analyze exactly what's going on there with Trump and Obama. Because I completely agree with what you're saying. I think what you're saying is spot on.
Yeah. I haven't even, like, I don't even know if I finished my point. People are, like, so desperate to validate Q, and I think Q's been validated. Like, what Q has done for the mass awakening has already been validated. We exist. That's, like, all the validation you need.
Yeah.
Like, the awakening that Q has sparked has been, it's tangible. I did a whole article series about this, part 22 and 23. We're both connected to how, like, real Q was. Okay. But people are like, anytime 17 is mentioned, doesn't matter by who, doesn't matter where it is, it's full control, everything, part of the plan, all these things. And now we have Obama and Trump sitting next to each other at a funeral, and we'll pull this up on the screen, and everybody's like, they're part of the plan. He's been part of the plan the whole time, and people are trying to, like, force this on us. And I feel like some people, not everybody, I don't want to blanket this with everybody, and I'm not even saying this is a problem. I just think people need to be self-aware of what is happening here. Like, there's not a single shred of actual evidence, and I could point to, like, mountains of paperwork to show you how Obama is not only gay because Michelle's a dude, but he's a fucking bad guy. Like, everything
he's a lifetime CIA asset and probably
devil
an
incarnate. Okay,
yeah.
The devil incarnate. But we're gonna change all those opinions, all the actual facts that exist in the world, because Trump got a little chummy with Obama at a funeral, as you'd expect somebody to do in public. I'm divorced with 2 kids, share custody. Like, when I'm with my ex-wife, I have to pretend that I don't despise her and things, like, right? I have to play nice for the kids. You know what I mean?
Trump's like that with everybody. He's gone to those G6 meetings where they're all shitbags, and he talks to them.
Look at the screen.
He doesn't avoid them. He's the alpha in the room. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So he's not going to sit there and try to avoid Obama because Obama's a bad guy. It would be like him submitting to him. I mean, if Obama wants to chuckle at whatever Trump said to him, that's him. It doesn't make him a good guy by any means. I can't believe anybody would think that. But you're right. People are saying that on your chat.
If anything,
it's on your Twitter.
Look at the body language. It's nervous laughter on Obama's behalf.
Sure.
He's got his legs crossed. Okay. He's got his hand turned away from Trump. Trump is dominating him right now.
Right.
This is the equivalent of a husky coming in and putting his paw on your chihuahua's chest. Okay. And like holding him on the floor and getting right up in his face. Okay. Donald Trump has no reason to come into in a situation like a funeral and, act like anything other than, hey, guess what? I just won the presidency again after you said I wouldn't. Again, I'm the most powerful person in the world, and I haven't even been inaugurated.
Yeah,
he's dominating.
She is.
Trump could literally be saying, hey, remember that time you went on that talk show and you said, at least I was a president and did a mic drop, That's exactly what they could be talking about. And Obama could have nervously chuckled at it.
Melania, as any good wife would, is looking at all of these people and saying, every single one of you tried to kill my husband. You sent the FBI into my underwear drawer. You went after my 16-year-old son. And plus, this is also the anniversary of the day that her mother died, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody tagged me on Twitter to say that. So I think there's more going on. But she's not the one who's in power. She's like the den mother, okay, who's looking at all these people and saying, I would rip your throats out if I could. Yep. Trump is saying, I don't have to rip your throats out because I already cut your balls off.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly,
Zach. Well put.
Well, and so look, like let's look at the body language here. Obama walks in. He completely ignores Trump and Melania. He walks straight up to Mike Pence, has a very long handshake with Mike Pence, right? Then he turns to Karen, says hello to Karen. Then he turns to Al Gore. He ends up saying hello to every single person around him, front and back. Never says hello to Trump, just sits down. Trump immediately starts engaging him because that's what Trump does. And then
you shake my hand.
Nobody else would look at him. I mean, think about dogs, okay? Like when dogs will not look you in the eye, it's because they're afraid to be confronted. None of these people acknowledged Trump's presence. None of them looked at him. Trump, it started this interaction with Obama and was like, you're in my world now. Okay, you're sitting next to me, and guess what? I am going to talk to you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And both Obama and Melania are sitting here like nervously thumbing through their program. They're like, they're very, very awkward. Michelle is noticeably absent. George Bush walks in, completely ignores Trump, says hello to everyone, dabs up everyone. Then you have, then Kamala comes in. Kamala coming in was kind of hilarious because like everyone just completely just was shooting her,
daggers,
scowling at her like "F you."
Yeah, no. Everyone feels pity and shame from Kamala's presence.
Absolutely disgust.
There was lip reading done on this.
Yeah,
and I don't think they were right about that. Like, let's meet in the foyer. I have something very important to tell you. Like, I have a cousin who was born deaf with hearing aids, so I'm allowed to say this. I'm pretty good at lip reading. I don't think that's at all what was said. Like no shit. I don't think, especially with the way Trump talks, because Trump talks like, as we've said before, as a caricature. Like he talks in a unique way. I don't think you can get an actual reading of what was said here. I'm not buying any of this shit. Like Obama is not part of any plan now because of this interaction, and that's the type of shit that you lose your credibility when you push that kind of thing. And I don't understand why people do it. Are you doing it for clicks on Twitter? Maybe. Are you doing it for validation? You don't need any more validation about Q. Like push the Q stuff when it happens, like the actual Q stuff, the legit Q stuff, because there are actual legit Q proofs that I see all the time, like good ones. I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty crazy. I can't believe that happened. But then you see stuff like this, and it's like, why are you pushing? This just discredits everything that is legitimate about what you've said. I'm not trying to bash anybody in particular. I haven't seen it from anybody in Badlands either, but I see it out there, and it's like, what real Red Pill Girlfriend says, why people call us crazy. And this is what I actually think the conversation was, by the way.
I'm going to take a pillowcase, fill it full of bars of soap, and beat the shit out of you.
It's also worth noting that Brian Krasenstein was one of the people who like retweeted the photo of them laughing together and said, "Have we all been played this whole time?" So he's pushing the idea that like Obama and Trump have been colluding together since the beginning. I don't have the other video of like when Kamala's sitting down and Trump really starts getting Obama to laugh. And I think Obama's nervous and that's why he's laughing, but it's very quiet. And everyone starts looking at Obama like, what the hell? You could feel the whole mood of the whole place shift because Obama, like Trump was getting Obama to laugh. And I feel like at that point, Trump was doing it to try to trigger everybody that was around him. He was like, that was his way of basically putting his nuts on the table and being like, I'm the big dick at the big swinging dick at the cracker factory. And to close it out, I think we definitely should laugh at Joe Biden's entry because his entry was hilarious. This was the comic relief that this moment needed. Let's just enjoy this.
You're not playing it.
Yeah, what are you talking about, bro?
I'm not playing it.
It's on here.
John has to share it.
Oh. Rewind it.
Okay.
And they will play
his spirit.
It was his spirit. They will play Hail to the Chief again today. And there we see President of the United States, Joe Biden, and the First Lady, Jill Biden, the last to enter in these final moments before the service is about to begin. Want to speak with Robert Costa and Douglas Brinkley.
And what you see here in this scene is everybody, in a sense, showing up. And that was important to President Carter. I ran into President Carter and Mrs. Carter in January of 2017 at the U.S. Capitol. They showed up for President Trump's inauguration that day, and they had a quiet presence, observed it, paid their respects to the moment then.
There's just like so much, it's so serious, and the tension is so like you could cut it with a knife. There's so much tension, there's so much anger in the room, and then Joe Biden like stumbles in there and is like looking so senile, like he doesn't know where the hell he is. There's also a hilarious picture of Hunter Biden kept like sniffing and like doing this to his nose.
Yeah,
like, that was hilarious.
And and Kamala there, she looked towards Jill Biden with her eyes down, like almost like a sign of fealty, if you will. But please pay attention to me. Jill Biden barely turns towards her, accepts the program, and then turns in the complete opposite direction. Like, you are not worth the dog shit on the bottom of my shoe, and I do not want to talk to you. So much anger about them having pushed Joe Biden out.
Did you see the article about Jill Biden the other day?
No, I don't think so.
Let me pull this up. This is
let me ask a question. Where
I'll pull it up.
I've been a little out of touch with the news this week, but where was Big Mike?
Why are you
Hawaii? Vacationing in Hawaii.
Okay, so maybe Obama felt a little intimidated without his bodyguard with him because
could be.
He's definitely not the muscle in that relationship. So, it's interesting they put him right next to Trump.
They probably do it in order of.
Is it in order of presidency?
Because wasn't Obama next to Bush?
Yeah,
and Bush next to the Clintons,
and next to the Clintons.
They probably do it in order of.
Yeah, that's probably
you were
how
last
they do it. Yeah,
you're probably right. Share my screen again.
Or it's because they're all part of the plan.
While you're bringing that in, I've got to run, guys. But
I've got to go soon too. I told Lisa we would watch
Vikings. It's 11:50. We should do some rants here soon. So
see you on the flip. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.
Bye, Ash. Bye, Ash.
Bye, Ash.
Okay, allow ads.
Do this quickly. Ghost.
Okay, well, it's not letting me do it, and the ads thing is a pain in the ass. It just all this is just says how vengeful Jill Biden is urging depressed Joe to burn the whole thing down.
Oh yes,
and so it's like the deployment was just that she told Joe, she's like, "Fuck these people, like we should just burn the whole thing down on our way out the door," which is hilarious, and I hope that is true. But even if it's not, it's a great.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear that, I always think of and I was going to do a lot of Office memes tonight, but the Office episode where they go to Utica because Stanley's going to work there, and they're like, if you harm a hair on Stanley's head, we will burn Utica to the ground. It's so funny. Anyway, let's go through the Rumble rants, and then we'll get out of here. It is 11:50. It's getting a little late. Maybe not for you West Coasters, but North Carolina gal 24. John, please can you play this about Western North Carolina? Thank you. It's a Facebook link, and I literally cannot play it because I'm banned on Facebook because of Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, me too.
Yay, Zuckerberg. Muffingate 69. Are these fires a distraction events so that we don't question why J-Trait was in 8-Track's bed last Liberty Den?
I can't prove anything.
That's a great question. I
Yeah,
forgot about
Brian.
that. I was sufficiently distracted.
Wait a second. I think that you missed some.
I may have. That's all I have up, though.
Okay, so I've got R. Scriv, Biden comments.
Oh, I'm getting to that one.
Oh, you are? Okay. I guess I missed some then.
Yep. Cheryl Van says, my husband works for Cummins Emissions here in Cali. Interesting name. And there are tons of trucks and firemen coming from Oregon, stuck in Sacramento doing emissions testing. They likely won't pass and sent home.
A ton of Mexican firemen just walked across the border to go help out with the fires as well. What are the chances?
Did you know that 30% of our fire force are actually
illegals?
No, prisoners.
What?
Oh, wow. Oh, I guess they're volunteers.
How many are lesbian?
They're literally prisoners. Like literally 30% of our fighting fire force is like inmates.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they're not paying them, right? They just take them out of jail and throw an ankle monitor on and say
like $5 an hour or something stupid. Yeah.
Wow.
Are those the ditch diggers? Because like out west, y'all have like the ditch diggers. You dig ditches to fight fires, right? Like you dig like the ditches and you cut the trees down.
They're still in the smoke, right? They're still inhaling all that smoke, and they don't have any probably protective gear. So who knows what they're fucking doing?
Yeah, but I'm saying like the guys who are the prisoners doing this, they're the ones who
they're
are
doing the grunt work. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're doing grunt work. They're not like throwing on the gear and going into burning houses, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Interesting. Keith O'Higgins, isn't firing government lesbians another form of rug pull?
Good one.
Me and Ash were texting before the show. We're like, so this was the Muff Master. She's like, well, former Muff Master, technically. Fatman79, LA Fire Chief, rug pulls or rug burns? No muff too tough. You guys are on it. Our script. Biden comments, does he not realize water wheels, etc., were able to create the power needed to pump water up a hill? Cavemen could have saved LA. God bless LA victims and those fleeing. Been there, done that.
The hardest thing to watch was people like Harrison Ford or Kim Kardashian having to get into their G-Wagons and drive to their other property because their primary residence was burning down. I mean, the humanity.
What
are they going to do?
What they might be
How will they
through.
survive?
Can't wait for the Netflix or VH1. Do they sell VH1 special on Kim Kardashian's time during the fire of LA?
The thumbnail is just her crying with her nails done.
Yeah. Rambo and Friends. Damn, what a crew. Cheers, Badlands. Thanks, Rambo.
Thanks, Rambo.
CJ Hurley, 1961. It's because Bitcoin's mining.
Yep, that's causing all the fires for sure.
Probably. Kamakariad. Mel Gibson talked about cancer cures, ivermectin, and fenbendazole. No wonder his house was burned down.
I heard he talked about that. I haven't watched the interview yet with Rogan, but I want to.
Yeah, I saw that clip of it.
Our Scriv again. Ash, explain how Colorado is next. Same property insurance narrative with our polls. Shit show. She left. So we'll ask her though. Keith O'Higgins, look for LA's environmental wackos to now add a protected species, the no-mouthed bass, around LAX.
Yeah.
T Sevy, John, comment on your X post, but couldn't listen to Fuckerberg after 15 minutes. He should have told the Gov to go F themselves. Plus, he funded the rigged election, so there's that. Yeah, there is no forgiveness for this shit. There's either justice or we're going to be slaves forever, like G-Money says. T Sevy, 10 days until pardons and our J6 hostage son is home. Pray Donald J. Trump falls through this promise. I did not realize, T Sevy, I've seen you in the chat before.
Yep.
Didn't know you had a J6 son.
Yep.
In there. I'm praying that happens too. I believe he'll follow through on that.
Man, yeah, me too.
Definitely.
We'll have to get you guys to a GART and talk about it. Keith Higgins, did you hear Mark Hamill's house burned down? I feel bad for him. He now has no closet to come out of. Good one. PJW, JD wants to go watch the Buckeyes. Oh, shit. Who won that game, by the way? I didn't even.
It was 21-14 with 7 minutes left.
Who won, though?
Who was leading, Gordon, at that time?
28-14.
Ohio State was. It was 21-14. Looks like Ohio State won 28-14.
Ohio State versus Notre Dame. I hope Notre Dame wins.
I hate both of those teams. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go for Notre Dame on that for sure.
Good Catholic boys.
Jatron, how are you feeling about the Raiders in the playoffs?
Yeah, the Raiders. The Raiders will not be sniffing the playoffs for at least a decade. That team is just a hot mess from the top on down. And damn, I wish I could go back in time just to my childhood to embrace a different team. You know,
Yeah, I
you
felt the
can't
same
change
thing.
it.
I
Your
felt the same
whole
thing.
life,
Vikings.
man. Brutal.
Which, by the way, Zach, baseless conspiracies Monday. I'm going to be skipping the Vikings game, at least the finish of it.
Wow,
for that show. That's how much I love.
Oh, you mean you're gonna come? You're gonna show up to work this time?
I missed one episode. One episode.
It's okay. It was a rousing success. G and I had a great time.
Yeah.
I think I convinced him. I think I convinced Zach of Kofefe.
Yeah, I'm
Did
sold.
you give him a card, a dragon card?
I did not know.
Oh, I didn't know he was passing out NFTs.
Well, only the people he likes. So. Wild Boar 17. See all retards in Vegas. Does that mean Wild Boar's coming?
Dude, I hope Gamp's coming too. Does that mean Gamp's got to be there if it's going to be all the retards? Come on.
Now I'm regretting ever having conferences ever. Like, maybe it's just
Oh, come on. Wild Boar's a good dude. Come on.
All future guards are hereby postponed. Wild Boar 17 again. I heard my presence is required. What panels am I on? We'll get back to you on that.
The solar panel.
Yeah. Valseco 16. Is Ash smashed? Me too. Nope,
No,
she's
actually
sober.
sober as a
church
sober as a judge.
Keith Higgins, do you think Zuckerberg just went on Rogan's show to boost his horse dewormer sales on Facebook? I think it's the apology tour. It's retribution tour. But good question, Keith. Boom diggity. Anyone notice that in Dan's post today that it looks like Trump's sitting in the back as well as walking on the lawn?
So there was some post with like a shadow in the background.
Pull it up.
18-minute mark.
10 days. Trump sitting in the back as well as walking the lawn.
Oh, yeah. Look at, yeah.
I see what you mean, but that's probably somebody else.
Just zoom in on it. I mean, 9 out of 10, that's probably, I mean, that could easily be like a Trump body double, which, of course, we know presidents and world leaders use on a regular basis. It could be a Secret Service agent.
I mean, it's probably just like somebody else in the cabinet.
Like Eric Trump or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Could be a picture of Trump.
Flying Storm started about the 18-minute mark. General Olson. I will check that out later. We're not going to do that live. Snackaroos, why did Trump devolve? Ask that tomorrow. Preferably closer to like a $5 rant if you could. Just kidding. Cindy58. From Canada Patriots, I love all you Badland warriors. Thank you for all you do.
Very generous of you.
Rant.
Thank you.
2F17. G remembers. I bore from CBTS. I have many of those old memes. LOL. Good night, all.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that, but I actually remember that after the fact, funny enough. I bore Internet Bill of Rights, right? So
Yeah, I remember that.
Keith O'Higgins. Hey, Ghost, if Jefferson ran away from his family, I bet Sally Hemings was used to it.
It's a mistress joke. Good one, Keith.
Nice. I love those. Citizen 7. Jay, did you confront that school administrator who stole the money from funding intended for children? We need to hold people accountable on a personal level when we hear stories like that.
Well, first of all, he was my patient, and I don't think I can do like a citizen's arrest or something on the spot like that. Kind of bad for business. But no, he was telling me this story with contrition, like he was like absolutely ashamed of it, and that's why he retired early, because he just didn't want to be a part of that anymore. So what am I going to say? Okay, dude, I'm going to call in the police now. Thanks for the story.
This is what you do.
But,
you send him a postcard or like a coupon for a free adjustment and you have them come in, and you'd be like, "Your back is so messed up. There's only one way to fix this."
It's a coccyx.
And then it's a coccyx adjustment.
Exactly. The problem is, John, if you knew this man, he is a gay man. I don't necessarily think that would be a deterrent or even a bad thing.
Oh my god. That also reminds me of The Office, the episode where
he was so ashamed, but he still took the money.
It's like one of my here. Okay, Oscar is gay, for those who don't know.
This is so good.
And this is Michael Scott going in for... Yeah.
It is a colonoscopy. Okay. In your experience, what should I be expecting? Or emotions. Is there anything I can do to make it more pleasurable for me?
They didn't even get it all. They didn't even get it all because he's like,
I know the
going
rest
in
of
for
it's
procedure.
Yeah, how come it got cut off?
I don't know. Maybe they can't have it on YouTube.
Yeah, probably.
Should I have a safe word or something like this? Okay. 1027JS, good show tonight. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. RPRN, a second Declaration of Independence was signed by Donald J. Trump and 10 others on July 2nd, 2020. It's readily available online. I don't believe you. Please send it.
I looked for it. I didn't see anything. So he re-endorsed the original Declaration of Independence or congratulated, but no second one I found.
If you can find that, send it along. Take us on Twitter. Love to look into it. Final demand. My brother is a Bedford 2.5 hours from Richmond. He was just told he can't drink his water. Imagine fires, etc., power, water, sewage, all shut down across the country. If I was them, I would burn it all down.
Interesting, man. If that's true, then this might be spreading. That's really interesting. That they're gonna take the water out, so no one has drinking water.
It's pretty nuts. Belseco 16 start a Badlands social media app. Call it Alfred. Algom Fed Discourse. I don't get it. But thank you.
He was the one who was smashed. So,
gotcha. Now I get it. Melindy, how many of the exact original grievances hold true today?
Actually, many of them.
Most of them.
I actually ran the original grievances through an AI and asked it to give me the modern version of it, and most of them were pretty actually spot on.
I mean, okay. One of the original grievances was the taxes on tea, which was at like what percent? G-Money?
3%.
3%. Count for inflation. How much are we paying in tax today? It's
over 50%.
Insane.
Paper and stamps, which is all correspondence, your ability to communicate, all text.
Okay. Dirk McGurkin. All laws are a reflection of what we as a society are willing to kill for. That's a good way to put it.
When people jaywalk.
Yeah. Everybody jaywalks.
I'm willing to kill for that.
Jaywalking, I'm convinced, only exists so that if police want to pick you up, they can.
Totally.
Right.
Like, I want to talk to that guy. You just crossed the street at the wrong spot.
It's the domestication of the American spirit.
I'm telling you,
it's a pedestrian version of a headlight that's out.
Ted Kaczynski was onto something. Outside of the bombing and killing people, disavow that completely.
I mean, but to be fair, he mostly maimed people. Okay, I mean, outside of the bombs, I think he was a prophet.
He had got laid in college instead of MK Ultra. Things could be totally different right now.
Oh yeah, totally. It was. I mean, that's what did him in right there. You know, I mean, he probably would have been one of the great leaders of the 20th century if it wasn't for the MK Ultra.
He'd have a Nobel Prize, maybe a Heisman Trophy in his trophy cabinet. His whole life has changed.
He was more likely a Nobel Prize. He wasn't exactly athletic.
He didn't seem athletic, but you never know, man. Getting laid in college can change things.
Terminator 4 Ghost, this is for your new show. Thank you for the rant. That will not go only to Ghost. Just so you're aware. You have to leave those on Ghost Show for it to go to Ghost Show, but that will be split about 6 ways. Thank you.
Monday, 7:30 Eastern.
Yeah, it's a good show, by the way. At least a good first episode.
Appreciate it.
I'll hold my judgment for at least 2 or 3 more episodes.
Cheers. Very fair.
City Girl Gone Country. Badlands is the Avengers. Love y'all, and this group of people has helped me find my courage to speak up. John, I cannot thank you enough for forming this team and keeping me going for the last 2+ years. Thank you, City Girl. Poso for Hope. Cuomo brothers here in New York. Those MF need to be in jail. They want us to forget. Yeah. Cuomo needed a retribution tour of his own. He went on Tucker Carlson, and look at him now. It's bullshit. Fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Not a retribution.
At some point.
The whole thing is so stupid. Dirk McGurkin. Like it or not, the issue isn't free speech. The issue is who gets to be the censor and what are we going to censor? Always has been, always will be. I mean, that the censorship affects the free speech. You get what we're saying. Crane 59, boyfriends, the LA fire sure has stoked the fire of this stream tonight. Passionate for sure. More, as Bongino says.
Let's go.
1 second.
You're on mute.
Can one of you guys read this? I'll be right back.
Okay, Dirk McGurkin says, you can lie to yourself if you want to, but ultimately free speech and Christianity are incompatible. I would deny that supposition personally, but either way, the things that I say have no bearing on my faith in Christ. And if anybody else wants to suppress my free speech based on religion, that's about them. Has nothing to do with me and my relationship with God. So, Flying Storm says, must watch what you're talking about. General Olson explains it the best. 18-minute mark. Started about the 18-minute mark. And I can't get this because it's on the screen share. John, you're muted.
John.
Must be you're muted, John.
I'm muted.
Sorry. I said we will watch that, just not right now.
Yeah.
Keith Higgins, I think the real reason Big Mike never left the Hawaiian compound for Carter's funeral, he was too busy working with new Obama chef on a Hollywood barbecue recipe.
Oh, Spitfire recipe.
Keith Higgins with the jokes. Goalie 45, Charlie Kick should change his name to Charlie Clerk.
What about Charlie Cuck?
Charlie Cuck, yeah.
Charlie Cuck, I like that. Or Cuckaberg.
Okay, so I wanted to play one little clip from that I have sharing. It's like just a 10-second clip of Trump. Let's just play this clip because I want people got to hear this. Hold on a sec. Let's hear what Trump has to say in Bitcoin Nashville.
Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government, coercion, and control. Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government, coercion, and control.
Okay, so he said it. Independence from government, coercion, and control, freedom, sovereignty. I don't know. Trump, in that short sentence, said pretty much about the declaration of sovereignty in cyberspace. He's giving you guys the keys. You got to connect the dots, though. So there you go.
Right. Next round is from TMPB70. But before I even read that, I just want to point this out.
John is my spirit.
Real Red Pill 78 girlfriend. John is my spirit animal. Back at you. Feel the same about you. Trump said to Obama, wouldn't it be funny if one of those envelopes fell out of your program right now? That's pretty good. Keith Higgins, Dick Cheney, and Big Mike were both missing from Carter's funeral. Maybe they were sequestered at an erotic hunting party exchanging face blasts. Love it. Lopat for $100. Lopat 67 for Zach's take on what Melania was thinking at Carter funeral. Tonight's discussion was inspiring, then hilarious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zach, she wants your take on what Melania was thinking. If you want to give it,
I know what women want. I mean, I gave it earlier.
Yeah. I think you said that she would have ripped everyone's throat out in the room if she could have.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right.
But Donald Trump didn't have to rip anybody's throat out because he'd already cut their balls off.
Yep. Love it. Dirk McGurkin. It's a thing. People visiting LA often mistake City Hall for a Subaru dealership. A Subaru dealership. Does anybody else besides Zach on this panel own a Subaru?
A Lesbaru?
Mrs. Ghost used to have one as a company car, but not anymore.
You call yourself Mrs. Ghost?
I mean, if Badlands gave me a company car, that'd be pretty great. I wouldn't say no to that, but no.
I also have a classic Mercedes, if that says anything. German engineering. I'm a big fan of German.
It says you're a Nazi and a lesbian.
I see Zach in like one of those old school Cadillacs, kind of like the old casino ones.
We're working on getting him a yacht, guys. I think we have about $24 now or something towards the $200 million yacht. So we've been making some great progress.
Excellent.
RPRN, at the funeral, you can see Obama's forehead getting noticeably shiny. He was sweating bullets. DJT was cutting him with sharp words and a smile.
Absolutely.
He certainly was.
But guys, did you see that the earlobes didn't match? He's a clone. Some bajillion of those things too. Calls on Cujo. Blew my whole rant fund gifting subs. Sorry, this is all I got. LOL, but great show. Thank you. God bless. And yeah, by the way, thank you for gifting the subs, guys. I did see it earlier. I forgot to mention it. Call sign. Appreciate that. And anybody else who did, if we missed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, how does that work? Who do those go to exactly?
They go to random people who are already subscribers of the channel and are active in the chat.
Yeah, cool.
Skipped one above. Did you skip one?
No, I think I read that. Oh, Keith Higgins. I think the New Orleans terrorist was planned to toughen security for when the Vikings go to the Super Bowl. John, the Vikings will have to pay for their seats there to watch my Lions on the field. Ha ha ha. I said earlier, all the terrorist attacks was a Packers fan conspiracy to try to fuck up the Vikings' home field advantage, and it clearly worked because they lost the Lions. Did I read this one earlier?
No. Wait.
From Cindy 58 for $100. I'll just read them again. They're $100 rants. So, from Canada Patriots, I love all you Badlands Warriors. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Trump NATO 4. I think I read this one earlier.
Yeah.
Ghost this for your new show.
Yep.
Thank you for the rant, but joke's on you, Trump NATO. Kitty Kubiak, Bronx had a 5-alarm fire today. Worried about deep state starting shit in New York City.
Yeah, a couple of fires over the last couple of days in New York.
Yeah. Real Mega Mama, didn't Q say watch the water?
Yep.
Did.
Yep, sure did.
They were
Lack thereof.
apparently talking about the sweat on Obama's brow. When they said that. He-Man 17, God gave us free will, which includes free speech. Try asking your toddler to stop saying the naughty word over and over. You know the one. Great show, chaps. See you next Tuesday. You He-Man?
Cool.
Why next Tuesday? What's next Tuesday?
See you next Tuesday.
Is that inauguration day?
See you next Tuesday is it's an acronym.
Yes. See you next
I've
Tuesday.
never said that word in front of my kids. But TJ Kibbles with some shameless self-promotion for only $1. So, but thank you for the rant. TMPB70, take comfort all in the fact that you are ahead of the curve, the best yet to come. Thank you. And I think that's all of them. Awesome, guys.
Sweet.
Cool.
So cool. Well, good show. That was fun. Tomorrow night, Power Hour will also be fun. Hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining. All you hosts. Stay safe out there in California.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody, all the Badlanders that have reached out to me either by text or direct message on Twitter and everything. Your love and support is so much appreciated. Thank you very much, guys.
Oh. And Ghost, I hope you find some water.
Yes, I know. I need to boil some more, I guess, right? J-Trade, I'm glad to see the J Cave is still intact.
I am curious what will happen to your hair if you aren't able to shower.
Well, I'm still showering. It's just I'm not supposed to drink it. So I'm just like, screw it. I'm going to take a shower. But
you got tequila, right?
Yeah, that's right. Pure fat. So
thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Take care.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.